So I would like to have your attention. So before we start, let us recite. Okay, so as we know, our webinar will be held 3 hours from 2 to 5. And before we, our webinar is about to begin. So before we start, please sit back and relax for all the participants. We at KAIS hope that training content will be put for all the staff. Okay, so let me just welcome all. Okay, Assalamualaikum, very good afternoon to all participants and to our invited speaker. We have from UEM, especially invited from UEM, Prof. Dr. Fauza binti Abdul Rahim. So let me just introduce to anyone, those who are new to UTM or those participants outside from UTM. I'm Mariam Ghazali from KAIS, and I will be the moderator for this today webinar. I'm very pleased to see all of you and welcome all of you to our KAIS online training. So before we start the training session, let me just introduce a bit about who is our invited speaker. Okay, so we are having a training, webinar online training, which is titled Effective Pedagogy and Andragogy Strategies Through Interactive Teaching Methods. So this is really an interesting topic for all academic staff. So hopefully that this will be very fruitful to all academic staff. So before we start, let me just highlight a bit on our speaker's biography. So Prof. Dr. Fauza Abdul Rahim is actually, I was informed by Dr. Khairul Anwar, Prof, that you just stepped down from the director of the Teaching and Learning Center at UUM yesterday. Is it? Oh, no.
No, not that I know of.
You're still the director. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I was informed just now by Dr. K. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. Prof. Fauza is actually the director at the new Teaching and Learning Center UUM. It's actually similar to what we have at UTM KAIS. And she is currently a professor in education, which is the field of education psychology at the School of Education, College of Art and Science, UUM. So a bit of her qualification is that she graduated with PhD from University of Nottingham in education psychology, and she has 2 master's degrees. That's really interesting. From UM in 2003 and 1997 in University of Lancaster, and in both Master of Education and Language Study. So, and she did her Bachelor of Education in teaching English as a secondary language. So currently, what I read from her biography is that her research interest mainly relates to the learning specially related learning, alternative assessment, gender issues, and learning community of practice. And she is also actively involved in various government-funded researches. The most recent is a policy-based research entitled Higher Education Alert Alignment Education for Redesign Transformation on Post-COVID-19 and its impact on higher education in Malaysia. So maybe Prof can share a little bit of what we are doing right now, because it's what we are in the midst of the pandemic, Prof. And also, in addition to that, she has a government-funded project, which is a project knowledge transfer program with the community. And she has been previously in 2014. And she, Prof, have actually received a gold award at ITEX in ITEX 2014 for technological innovation to help reading among illiterate children. So I think what I want to highlight is what she did on the what she's currently doing on developing a mock based course based on that. She has actually received granted second place by Open Learning Reading Teaching Innovation Competition in 2018, and the most prestige award that she received was at AAN 12, which is on the applied literature and applied sociology for teaching. Okay, maybe I'm not sure, maybe later on if Prof have the time, you can share with us on what he did during the AAN 12. But for today, focus on the main topic, which is on the effective pedagogy and andragogy strategies through interactive teaching methods. Okay, so therefore, without further ado, okay, I would like to invite Prof. Fauzia to share her sharing on the book title, which is what we have seen in the poster just now. And for to all participants, if you have questions, maybe to Prof, if they have questions during the webinar, they can just directly unmute their Prof. Is it okay with you? Okay, and or if you don't have your mic, you can just type it in the chat box. So, Prof, I pass it to you, so you may start sharing your screen.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Mariam, and thank you, UTEM, for inviting me. I have never been to UTEM, so I hope one day I'll be able to go to Melaka and visit all of you in person. And thank you to Dr. Khairul who contacted me. Yes. And that's why we are here today. Hi, Dr. Khairul. Okay, so Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for being here. I know it's afternoon and I'm actually very scared because it's cloudy here in Kedah. So I hope you can hear me well. Now, if you can't hear me well, if I'm lagging, let me know, yeah? Because when I'm excited, I tend to speak very, very fast. So you let me know if you can't hear me, all right? Right.
Okay, so far so good, Prof, inshallah.
So far so good, inshallah, alhamdulillah.
Crystal clear.
Why is it that I am not sharing now? Stop sharing. Kenapa dia tak nak keluar ya? Okay, kejap. Tell you what, I'll share the screen.
Is it okay, Prof? Okay, we can see the screen.
Yeah. It's just that I need to. Right. Are you able to see UUM? Yes.
Yes.
Right. Oh, sorry. Well, I can't go to UUM, and I'm not sure whether how many of you have actually been to UUM. So this is UUM virtually, but I'm not on campus. All of us have to work from home. So I'm actually at home. So we'll see. I was asked by Dr. Khairul to speak to you about effective pedagogy and andragogy. And of course, when he spoke to me, I was in a meeting and things like that. I wasn't paying attention until he showed me this poster and I read through the thingy and I say, oh, interactive teaching. Alamak, I got a bit scared because interactive teaching usually will be handled by people from the educational technology. So I actually had to ask him, I said, is it okay if what I share to you today is basically on my experiences and experiences of my colleagues who have shared with me as a mentee when we have this mentoring processes for the sake of this session, yeah? So the title is Effective Pedagogy and Andragogy Strategies Through Interactive Teaching Methods. So lots of very pertinent notions there, very pertinent concepts. And we will go through very, very slowly. Provided all of you have known, then we can just quickly go. And as I wrote here, may Allah make ease today so that we're able to achieve our outcomes and without any technical glitches. So I have sort of readjusted the learning outcome so that it's manageable. It doesn't look as if it's too much. What will be covered today will be, firstly, we will be looking at the different well, the differences between what is pedagogy, what's andragogy, what's interactive teaching. So all these buzzwords, we need to make sure that we can unpack them. And then we will go through some engaging activities, hopefully, and we identify those characteristics, because only when you understand what those characteristics are, you'll be able to see how to design your own activities. And we'll be looking at the examples in order for you to plan. I think at the end of the day, what is more important is not what it is, but more to it than that is how are you going to use this knowledge that I'm about to share with you in your own respective context. Yeah. So let's start. What do you think pedagogy is? What do you think andragogy is? And what do you think interactive teaching is? I'll give you about 5 seconds to start thinking in your head what pedagogy, andragogy, what these three terms are. Now, what I need you to do is actually to use another device. Oh, I forgot to tell you that in this session, it's best. Oops, I forgot to. Hang on a minute. Okay, is that the one? If you go to www.menti.com, you will be asked to provide a code, and that's the code. Okay, hang on a minute. Can I like... Gosh. What did I do?
It's okay, Prof. I think we can see the number and we also can access the menti.com. Should be okay.
Yeah.
I think you can proceed. Because I put about submit tadi.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm about to stop sharing sebab I nak kena buka the Mentimeter, which I forgot to buka awal-awal tadi.
Okay. So for the time being, to those participants, can you please dia ada bagi link kat bawah tu on the chat window. So you can type menti.com and key in the number and answer the quick survey question lah yang Prof dah bagi. Okay. So kita ada
Yeah.
okay. So for the time being, Prof, Prof ada emailkan dekat kami ke ataupun sendkan the latest lecture slide for today's session?
No, I usually do it at the end.
Oh, the end.
It's
Okay, alright.
Tak apa ya?
It's okay. Kalau katakan for the time waiting ni, Prof nak email saya boleh bagi shootkan link so that kalau tak dia pun boleh juga. No problem.
Okay.
Okay, so participant please go to menti.com and type 98843225 dia punya code number dia and just answer the quick question.
Yeah.
Sementara Prof bukakan display menti.com. So how many minutes Prof nak bagi? Few minutes? 2-3 minutes?
Nah, I'm just going to share je lah. Sebab
Okay.
sekejap ya. Ni yang lecehnya bila buat dekat rumah kan. Semua anak-anak semua duduk dekat-dekat, so everybody can hear everybody.
Betul Prof. Ini pun pasal buka background ni. Tak nanti
Yalah.
kalau dalam belakang.
Yes. Goodness. Okay, let's share the screen. Right. So, well, not many. I know there are more than 50 people in the session now. Am I right? Yeah, about 69 people in the session. But we only have about 14 people answering this question. Tapi tak apalah. For the sake of discussion. Okay. I said choose the statements that are true. And maksudnya kalau dia tak true, you don't choose lah. Right? So looks like 8 people have chosen pedagogy refers to teaching method that places teacher guidance as central. So that's what you think. Andragogy is a teaching method for adult learners to learn meaningfully. And not many have actually chosen effective interactive teaching refers to teaching method that places completion of syllabus as important. Okay, maybe you can unmute yourself, whoever wants to discuss why you chose whatever that you chose and why didn't you choose whatever that you didn't choose. And if you chose all three, why also? Anyone? Anyone brave enough from UTM?
Okay.
If not, I'm just going to call at random.
Silakan Prof. All your students. Agak macam pelajar.
Dr. Nur Izyan binti Zulkafli.
Okay, Dr. Nur Izyan. Can you type something? Kalau katakan you nak boleh beritahu sikit, maybe share your thoughts on the question that Prof just posed just now. Dr. Nur Izyan, ataupun nak type kat bawah tu kalau tak ada mic ke apa ke?
Boleh, no problem.
Okay.
Hello Prof. Dengar?
Hello. Dengar.
Saya dengar clear. Silakan.
Okay. Saya tak sempat lagi nak jawab soalan ni. Tapi
Alamak.
saya tengok tiga-tiga ni, I think all of it true, I think.
You feel that all of them are true?
Yes.
Yeah. Why?
Actually, this is first time I hear the term andragogy.
Okay. So andragogy tu you macam bantai je lah. Must be true lah. Nampak macam macam kan. Okay. Okay, that's honest of you. Thank you very much. So let's throw away andragogy and which one of the three yang you clear? You sangat-sangat clear and you rasa macam betul lah tu.
I think number 3. The most clear.
Effective interactive teaching refers to teaching method that places completion of syllabus as important. Yeah? Yang tu yang you rasa macam betul lah. Is it? Okay.
Yes.
I'll come back to you nanti once we have done the andragogy bit, just to make sure that you now know what andragogy is. Yeah? So don't go away.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Next.
Dan Prof, kita ada jawapan dekat dalam chat.
Okay. Apa jawapannya?
Dia kata from Cik Syarifudin, dia kata pedagogy is a method of teaching, Andra is teaching
Andra is teaching adults. Okay.
Yang unique approach is andragogy. So unique approach.
Okay. That's Syahibudil Ikhwan. Thank you very much. Okay, yang lain?
Boleh try jawab?
Boleh. Yang ni bagus ni. Yang ni volunteer terus. Tak payah cari masa-masa bersatu. Yes, teruskan.
Okay.
Silakan. Tak dengar suara.
Saya rasa kalau yang pedag tu tak dengar. Dia macam mengajar saja, pedagogy. Lepas tu kalau yang andragogy tu memang teaching adult learners. So lepas tu yang bawah tu pun saya rasa salah lah, bukan effective interactive teaching. Dia tak, tu mungkin salah satu tapi bukannya yang efektif lah. So saya jawab yang tengah tu, andragogy je.
Dr. Zul, it's okay for me to call you Dr. Zul
Okay.
Which faculty are you from?
Manufacturing, engineering.
Okay. Thank you very much. Walaupun lagging tapi I boleh dengar lah jawapan you. Okay. You said pedagogy is basically more towards teaching, and then andragogy is for teaching adults. But so what do you mean by kalau andragogy tu lecturers dia buat apa? Kalau it's not teaching methods.
Dia macam kalau
Hello,
sayang.
Dr. Zul. Ada lagi sikit lah.
Macam mana soalan dia?
Silakan.
Tadi yang you kata pedagogy is method about teaching. I mean, it focus on the teaching of the teachers kan, teaching and guidance of the teacher. Okay. Andragogy tu tak, sebab dia fokus kepada adults. Jadi yang untuk adults buat macam mana?
Yep. Untuk adults ni dia macam ada special ataupun different kind of teaching lah. Sebab adult learners ni mungkin dia ada, dia dah adults kan. So macam I think macam mengajar orang tua kot. So dia kena mungkin approach dia lain sikit daripada yang normal punya pedagogy.
Okay, very very interesting. Nanti kita tengok ya. Kalau mengajar orang tua mengajar orang tua macam mana cara dia ya. Well, adults does not mean tua lah kan. Tapi I understand what you're trying to say. So let's look at what it is. Yeah, I know Dr. Rahimah has also sent dalam chat to say that kalau pedagogy tu maksud dia teaching the children, whereas andragogy tu is a technique of teaching adults. So basically everybody seems to say that. So but my question is, okay, fine, it's teaching adults, but what do you do when you teach adults, right? So this is the thing that we need to find out. Yeah, okay, good. Nanti kita akan balik kepada, okay, the next question. Before we go back to this, the next question yang ada dekat dalam tu was ada kan dia tunjuk dia keluar tak the next question? Tak apalah. Let's look at this first. Right, so you are right. If you're talking about the really definition of what andragogy and pedagogy is, so Dr. Nur Azlin tadi ya? Dr. Nur Azlin kan? Nur Azlin ke tadi? I think it's Nur Azlin. I can't remember now. Because she said she has not heard of what is andragogy. So basically Dr. Zul, Dr. Rahimah, Dr. Shuhibli tadi tu, Dr. Ikhwan tadi tu, betul lah. Andragogy is about, if you look at the Greek word, it means leading men, and for pedagogy it means leading children. So it doesn't mean that you're just teaching pedagogy is just about teaching children, but just like teaching children, the teacher is there as the omniscient perspective lah. Dia the expert, dia yang guide, dia yang atur apa yang perlu dilaksanakan dan sebagainya. But whereas for andragogy, we are looking at the procedures and techniques of teaching adults, which, because we are dealing with adults are mature enough to know what they want to learn, how they want to learn, and what motivates them to learn. Tapi the problem is the adults that come into our classroom might not have that characteristics. They might not know why they want to learn. They don't know what they are going to do with the knowledge that they have because they didn't choose the program. Well, long time ago kita boleh cakap lah macam tu kan. Sekarang ni memang dalam UPU, university dah kata kalau kita dah memilih that particular program, chances are you'll be getting those programs, especially if you have chosen the first top programs and you qualify, then chances are you'll be getting that. So sometimes because there are 12 options that the students have to write down, and by the time they reach the 6 to the 12, they probably don't really care about what program they're doing. They're just putting it to complete the 12 options without thinking that they might get, because they were very confident that they were going to get the first 5, not knowing that their results are not that competitive enough for them to get whatever that they want. So that's how they landed themselves into programs that they don't really like, but they had to write in order to complete the UPU when they chose the program. So when they come in, they might not understand why they are there, and that's the reason why sometimes we have to move from being pedagogy to andragogy. Ya, memang kita nak ajar dia untuk menjadi orang dewasa, cara belajar seperti orang dewasa, but sometimes there is a need of this pedagogical elements coming in. And you are right too about interactive teaching, Dr. Zulkifli tadi. The fact that one of the elements would be, of course, in any teaching context for that matter, is actually to complete the syllabus if you can. But the most important is not about the syllabus. The most important is actually the person in front of you, the students that's there in front of you. So when you talk about interactive teaching, you are talking about actively. The key word here is actively involving students in the learning process. So it's not actively involve you in the learning process. It's promoting interaction and making meaning between the teacher, the student, the content, and the activity yang dia nak buat tu. So if that is interactive teaching, and the key word is actually actively, what can you describe about what your practices are? Any reflection from the audience?
I think there has to be two-way communication. That's for basic. Has to be.
Yep, two-way communication between the teacher and the student. Right, brilliant. What else? Well, what are your practices? What are our normal practices when we have classes? What do we do? If interactive teaching is about actively involve students in the learning process, so what do we have to do actually?
Engage.
Okay, engage students, right? Dr. Zaitun, do you want to try?
Can I add?
Please.
Probably we not just deliver, from teacher to the student. We should have some sort of activity, get an engagement, like Dr. Hairo said just now, and then get the feedback from the student, what are their understanding, self-reflection, something like that. And we should start with induction actually, set of induction before the class, and then we deliver, and then we do activity and we get feedback. All those must have in one face-to-face, even in face-to-face class. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for that. Dr. Ahmad Charizard, are you from which faculty are you from? Are you from the mechanical as well?
No, I'm from IT.
IT. Were you ever as a teacher before you came into UTEM?
In fact, I'm from UUM. I'm tutor from UUM and 2 years at UUM, and then I transferred to UTEM after that.
No wonder lah you tahu pasal set induction. So I'm very proud of you. UTEM is very lucky to have you there. So set induction
Thank you,
ni
Prof.
apa ni jarang lah apa ni orang tahu kecuali they come from apa ni education faculty, and I usually don't use the word set induction sebab takut lagi depa duk ingat I suppose depa induce apa pula kan. Right. So for those who are not familiar with the term set induction, it means you stimulate arousement in terms of igniting their curiosity in the classroom. Apa ni? Of course, it's different lah from the context of school, primary school, secondary school, preschool, tertiary. The context will be different, but the approach is still the same, where you encourage the learners to become engaged, to be interested. Remember, I told you, yes, we're dealing with adults, and actually dealing with adults, I mean, if you're teaching adults, should be simple. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. I mean, for those who have taught undergraduate and postgraduate, you will know what I mean. It's not that simple because of the constraints that I said just now. Their motivation level, their background, their prerequisite knowledge before they come into your classroom. So by stimulating their mind and hoping that they become curious before they start their lesson, and then through activities they make sense of what the topic is about and all that, that will help them to become engaged. Because you cannot simply assume that engagement will come when you start using beautiful PowerPoint, or it doesn't work that way. It's when they are involved, when they get themselves immersed in the task, that's when engagement occur. Okay, right. So far so good. Thumbs up. So everybody knows now what is andragogy. Yes, it's dealing with adults, and we have to talk about what kind of techniques that will be suitable for adults, all types of adults who are motivated, not motivated, and the thing, and the most important thing is we're clear about what interactive teaching is all about. So understanding that interactive teaching talks or focuses on active interaction. Therefore, the interaction cannot be one way. It cannot be just from the lecturer to the students in the form of lectures. That's why I'm asking you all to reflect our practices, because usually when we have, at the end of the day, students will be able to differentiate between apa-apa. Yang differentiate tu bukan students. Yang differentiate tu selalunya pensyarah yang buat. So the lectures become better every semester at differentiating, and the students are still clueless. So we don't want that to happen to our students. Okay?
Okay, Prof, can I have one quick question? So
Brilliant,
I think
yes.
pedagogy and andragogy, I think can really clear the difference, but macam interactive teaching compare dengan commonly terms yang kita selalu dengar macam active learning, student-centered learning. What are the difference between the three terms? Ke dia sama sebenarnya?
Sama je. When you're talking about teaching, you're talking about the teaching has got to be interactive. Kenapa? So that there will be active participation, active learning on the students. So it depends on whose perspective that you are looking at. If you're talking about interactive teaching, it's basically you must understand you as a lecturer or you as an educator. How do you design your teaching so that it becomes interactive? But for the learners, when you do interactive teaching, they are going to be engaged in active learning.
Okay, baik. So it's just a matter of perspective lah you're looking for.
Perspective, that's
Okay.
right. So macam the fact that if you are doing PBL misal kata, that's and you're discussing about students apa tu? Students findings kan, what they found when they were doing the problem-based learning. So your interaction and your feedback and they getting the feedback from their friends and their peers and the community that they work when they're doing the problem-based learning. So all these things are making them become involved, inquiry, semua tu dia relate kepada inquiry based learning, active learning, depending lah. Kalau dia inquire based lah. Kalau dia whatever it is, they're still active in learning. Sebab yang akan decide on apa yang dia kena buat dan bagaimana dia nak belajar ialah pelajar. Okay,
baik,
so
Prof. Okay, baik.
kalau kita cakap pasal interactive teaching is macam mana kita nak pastikan benda tu berlaku.
I see. Okay, alright. So it's more from the perspective of the teachers or lecturers, but active learning is more from the learning part, of teaching and learning. Okay, faham. Okay.
Yes, because,
Thank you very much, Prof.
Because teaching and learning cannot be separated. Tak ada lecturer, tak ada student, tak ada student, tak ada lecturer.
Right.
Okay, dan tak ada dua-dua tu, tak ada universiti. Okay, this is about, because we are dealing with andragogy, like what was it? I can remember the second name, Ikhwan, is it? Shahibul Ikhwan or something like that, right? What he said was, in the context of university, it's andragogy. Betul lah. And andragogy ni sebenarnya came from the Europe, from German and all that. But Malcolm Knowles ni yang bagi famous this particular notion of what adult learning is all about. So dia kata dalam characteristics of adult learning, adults learn better when they know why they need to know and learn. And it helps them to improve their self-concept because they are treated as someone who is capable and self-directed. They're able to control, get control of their own learning processes. They develop autonomy in their learning and responsible for making decisions and directions. So that boosts up their self-concept. Just like your student, if you compare your student when they were doing the FYP and when they first came into the program, totally different, right? Because they have built their self-concept and you have helped them to build that the sense of they are able to handle and make the decisions on their own, and you're just merely there as a form of guidance to guide them. And the beauty part of andragogy that sometimes we might forget to use, except for those who are teaching postgraduate, that the adults don't come empty-handed. They come in with a baggage full of life experiences. And if we are not aware of their experiences, we might lose the opportunity. I'll give you an example, which I always give to when I do training wherever. Katalah you're teaching asas keusahawanan or maybe asas ekonomi for that matter. And you found this chap, this boy, always sleeping in your class. And of course lah, bila orang lain semua boleh cakap, boleh bagi pendapat and all that, and this guy will be snoring in your class, sometimes you get annoyed as well lah. Walaupun you belajar psikologi ke apa ke, rasa macam, boleh tak nak buang this boy keluar daripada kelas kan? But if you take the trouble, I mean, you can do that and terus, become prejudiced towards the boy, and whatever that he says after that is not right because you feel that he's not there. You've got this bias perspective of him. But if you take the trouble to really understand what's wrong with you, call the boy to find out. I've noticed that you're sleeping in my class. Thank you for telling me that I'm extremely boring, but I would like to know what's the reason. Is it because you don't have enough rest? What's the reason for you to sleep in my class? Is my voice that beautiful that it becomes a lullaby to you every time when we have class? So rupanya the boy kata, well, madam, I'm so sorry. Asas ekonomi ni is it was a table family talk during dinner because my mom is Zati Aziz, like she's like the governor of Bank Negara. Our topic for dinner table with my granddad is about the economics of the world, and we were already talking about macroeconomics when I was 5. So coming at the age of 19, and you're talking to me about asas usahawanan, I know I can ace this without even opening my eyes. Now, what should you do as a teacher if you find out that that's what you have in your classroom? What would you do? Terus marah dia? Oh, belagak lah ni. Anak governor, belagak lah. Are you going to do that? Sorry.
Dr. Zulkifli kata jadikan dia sebagai tutor.
Brilliant. Yes, jadikan dia sebagai orang yang minta dia jadi mentor kepada kawan-kawan dia ke, minta dia perspektif, buat projek yang boleh interview all these people melalui dia.
Minta nombor phone Datuk Azhar daripada anak dia. So contact directly.
Atau mungkin macam tak boleh lah kan. Tapi whatever it is, you got that networking from this guy. You know, and you're teaching your students about networking, about how important it is for you to know the right people so that in one day they will come in handy. Kan? So if you, as a teacher, you have to have that part of you, walaupun you rasa sakit hati, tapi okay, kita kena tahu kenapa punca dia tu, sebab kita nak bantu. Tapi ada juga this chap yang tidur dalam kelas you sebab memang dia minta maaf lah madam, saya terpaksa berjaga malam. Okay, kita ingatkan dia berjaga malam untuk sembahyang tahajud lah. So kita buat alhamdulillah, you jaga malam sembahyang tahajud ke? Saya cakap, tak madam, I have to play this game because I'm about to become the macam ketua lah kat dalam virtual reality ni, and if I become the ketua and I'm become very very good at doing this particular game, I can actually get a lot of money because I can sell these tools that I have to people yang nak beli. Masa yang tu you boleh tarbiyah lah dekat you punya student tu yang mana satu yang priority. But then again, if you are teaching economics and he's actually doing that, again use that as a role model. So that dia rasa macam whatever that I'm doing is actually related to this course. That will engage him into now learning more about economics walaupun dia asas, so that dia boleh faham macam mana cara untuk nak do better, you know, at whatever that they're doing. So he's not just a gamer, but also an entrepreneur, because they understand about economics, about supply and demand, about, you know, dia dah tahu dah bila nak jual dia punya tools, bila and so on and so forth. So making meaning to people rather than nagging will help them as adults to connect their life experiences in order for them to learn whatever that you're doing in the classroom, even though benda tu dia dah tahu dah. Macam the case of yang pertama tadi, the first chap yang background dia dah tahu dah apa yang you nak ajar, masih boleh dia nampak bagaimana relevannya diri dia dalam kursus tu, because he now or she now can become the mentor of their students, of other students. And your task as the lecturer is actually to move this guy forward, no longer looking at the syllabus. He's beyond the syllabus. So if you continue to use the syllabus in social cultural theory, Vygotsky's theory, dia tidak belajar. Sebab tidak ada perubahan antara dia masuk dalam kelas you dan dia keluar daripada kelas you. So your task, sebab tu yang kita kata kalau kita betul-betul faham tentang the theory of pembelajaran, tak adalah those genius go untapped. So kalau these people are considered as macam because of their experiences, they are one step ahead, you need to also move one step ahead. Sebab dia dah memang boleh dapat A dah. Kan dia dah kata, dia tutup mata pun dia tahu dia boleh dapat A. Dia tidur berdengkur dalam kelas, you tu pun dia boleh dapat A. So sekarang ni is no longer about your syllabus. So if you're talking about interactive teaching, you are looking at your students. How do you make sure that your students can become beyond that? Yeah, through interaction. It's through interaction that you know which students would want what. Yeah. Right. The next is ready to learn. Adults ni, kalau sebenar-benarnya they are ready to learn. So tu yang I kata, if you compare your undergraduate and your postgraduate, I'm not sure how many of you here are familiar. I mean, familiar. Have the opportunity to teach postgraduate students. Postgraduate students yang datang untuk nak bayar, nak buat masters kan, coursework and all that. compared to the undergraduate students, sometimes you will find that the postgraduate students, they come in memanglah letih-letih dengan kerja, ada yang buat part-time and all that. But the way they look at, the way they get themselves involved in the discussion is so much different than undergraduate. Undergraduate is actually waiting for you to give the answer. There's a reason why they are waiting for you to give the answer, because they have been waiting since preschool. They have been taught how to wait for the answer from preschool. You know, it's a matter of nak ubah pula dia punya paradigm. Tapi sekarang ni kat school pun dah ubah dah. The schools are also now towards student-centered learning. That's why they have PAK 21 and all that. So adults are keen to learn, but they are only keen to learn when they see the relevance in learning and applicable to their immediate situation. So what does that tell you? Remember I told you about the two chaps? The chap that already knows about the ilmu pun, if they can see the relevance of their ilmu in the context and see how they now, because they know, they become the leader. They become the mentor. They become one who can actually advise. So their role differs, and when they're able to see how their role differs, they're still interested to be part of your classroom. The second one, when they see relevance, oh actually whatever that I do in life, because dia tak nampak relevance asas keusahawanan compared to the game yang dia tengah belajar ni. But if they can see the relevance between playing the game and understanding asas keusahawanan, the chances are it's going to be very, very focus in your classroom, because dia nak attack, dia nak guna strategies yang you akan ajar ni untuk dalam diri dia, dalam konteks diri dia. And then orientation to learning. Orientation to learning memang life-centered lah. Bila dia belajar, go back and reflect how you did your masters and how you did your PhD. I'm sure it was about how does this theory relate to me? How does this relate to Malaysia? Macam, ya ke? Community, kita selalu akan tanya soalan yang macam tu. Whatever that we learn, we're going to ask, is this related to our context? Because it's very life-centered. It's problem-oriented, it's task-oriented. So when you provide those problem-based learning, inquiry-based learning, they're very excited because they want to know. And especially when they see the beauty, of evidence that they found, making sense of those things, and then able to share with others. That gives them the sense of increasing their self-concept tadi tu, then relating it back to and understanding that this knowledge that they have is actually meaningful to them as an individual. And finally, the motivation lah. Some people belajar, they study because of external factors. They just want to get reward, whether it's an A or an increase in their punya career pathway and all that. So that's external, kan? External ni bahayanya. Bila you tak dapat, you rasa macam mengamuk, give up, malas lah, because they're external. Tapi kalau internal tu maksudnya you tak kisah sangat, lah apalah, you nak belajar sebab nak dapatkan ilmu tu. You rasa macam nak tahulah. Bila you nak tahulah, that's internal. And nak tahulah itu will keep you going even if the going gets tough. Itu beza dia internal dengan external when it comes to motivation lah. So your students need to love the program, need to love the course. Then they will be able to survive better. Okay, so that's why learning about your students will help you to understand about what you need to do for motivating. So adults learn better if they are intrinsically motivated, not extrinsically motivated. Children, yes, extrinsically. Maksudnya siapa boleh jawab soalan ni, cikgu bagi KitKat. Oh, semua orang boleh jawab sebab nak makan KitKat. Bukanlah sebab nak jawab, sebab nak KitKat. Tapi kalau adult learners tu, sekali-sekala boleh lah you buat macam tu. Kalau selalu you buat macam tu, dia pun rasa macam kita ni nanti kena viral pula. Kita ni dalam tadika ke dalam universiti kat UTM. So we don't want that to happen, right? So that's why we need to help them to work to become more intrinsically motivated. You can see yourself as doing as learning this knowledge and contributing to the society. So the question that we need to have now that we understand this is the characteristics of adult learners, That means our students in front of us, regardless whether you're teaching undergraduate or postgraduate, they have these characteristics intact in them. All we need to do is just to unpack saja. So our question is, how do we design interactive teaching and learning to happen in considering all these aspects? Yang tu soalan yang kita kena tanyalah. Okay. So the basic principles of adult learning yang kita kena tahu, the orientation. Kita tahu adult are self-directed or autonomous. So dia boleh nak jadi self-directed, dia boleh nak jadi autonomous. Cuma mungkin dia dah dimanjakan dengan sistem yang selalu bagi jawapan. Remember, I think last year masa kita mula-mula kena lockdown, semua dah tak boleh nak berjumpa dah apa-apa, students pensyarah pun jadi gelong nak kena buka sorry I'm guna perkataan Kedah walaupun I bukan Kedah. Gelong here means like macam ballistic, you know, having to use online learning. Dulu masa suruh buat blended learning sikit pun tak heran sebab mereka take it for granted that the students will always be in front of them, so they don't need to become blended ke whatever, you know, yang mana yang nak buat blended korang buatlah, kami nak buat juga face to face. Until COVID-19 happen, terkapai-kapai nak mencari orang-orang yang boleh bantu mereka untuk nak buka, nak log in into the LMS system yang tak pernah dia orang buka. That is the hikmah lah that I can see as I'm still the pengarah UTLC. I don't mind being a normal pensyarah, but that was the dilemma of all pengarah pusat pengajaran pembelajaran, I rasa, untuk nak pastikan pembudayaan blended learning once upon a time. But now we don't have that problem already. Everybody understand that you've got no choice. But because they are self-directed, because adults are self-directed, they know resources are there. Ramai orang buat webinar and all that, so they will go and seek whichever yang please to their heart, and they will start learning step by step. So that's what adults learners are able to do. They're self-directed, they're autonomous. In terms of experience, they do have some form of knowledge and experience. So tap them in your classroom. Use those experiences in your classroom. You'll never know, you know, what your students actually already know. You assume they don't know anything, but in actual fact, they might know something. All they need to do is just to make the connection between what they know and what they are going or about to learn in your classroom. Relevance. They are ready to learn when they can see the relevance. There is value. Ada nilai kepada apa yang you sedang ajar. Dia nampak nilai tu, dia nampak the value. Yang itulah yang kita nak kena pastikan. Sebab tu jangan kita masuk-masuk terus, okay, this is kursus yang ni, okay, buka, kita akan buat macam ni, okay, chapter 1, macam machine gun kita punya lecture. Lepas tu kita rasa macam seronok, kita dah habis dah syllabus. Tapi bila kita tanya dekat student kita, you belajar apa? Okay, semua okay. Bila my time exam, okay dia terbalik lah. Dengan kita pun rasa macam, apalah, masa dalam kelas tak nak tanya. Inilah, those are the kinds of things that we will face if we do not have activities yang boleh check sama ada dia faham atau tidak. Dia boleh nampak value atau tidak kepada apa yang dia sedang belajar. Kalau tidak, dia masuk dalam kelas tu entah ada entah tidak. Sekarang ni lagilah entah ada entah tidak. Masa dalam kelas yang bersemuka tu pun memang betul-betul entah ada entah tidak. Because I always tell my staff, I said, well, I'm from the School of Education, so my students are actually future teachers. So I said to them, you have to learn your students, you know, you have to look at the face of your students, and when you ask them questions like, okay, class, do you understand about this? Complete silence. Okay, class, what is it that you don't understand about, you know, the topic? Complete silence. So you know, you dah sampai gear 4, dia start engine pun belum. Itu maksud dia. Pada saya itu, padahal dia tak tidur pun. Semua angguk-angguk, buka mata, angguk-angguk buat macam tulis nota. Tapi sebenarnya dia tidur sambil membuka mata. They're there, but they're not there. That's the reason, that's my first initiation to active learning. When I realized I'm teaching 120 students, if they are doing that to me, I am so not going to be happy because I don't feel good when I leave the classroom. I rasa macam ada benda lagi yang tak habis. That's when with 120 I made activities. My classroom from that day onwards was totally different lah. Mereka kena buat role play lah, kena buat presentation lah. So they don't have the liberty of sitting at the back and just looking at you and seeing whether your tudung match with your baju ke tak. Tak ada masa. Dalam kelas I ialah dia masuk je, dia dah tahu dah the way in which I will start my class macam mana, and sometimes there are times that I akan ubah sikit dia punya cara-cara dia supaya dia pun macam tak buat ke, kita tak buat ke cara macam tu. Tak ada, kita akan ubah just to make sure that motivation is there. Because kalau you buat something yang sama sahaja, the motivation will decline. Because we need to understand, in order to motivate the students, we need to have varied activities to a certain extent that help them to see the relevance, to see that they all the time that there are many ways of tackling those issues. And so that's in terms of motivation and applicability, whether they are able to apply whatever that they are learning immediately when they are able to see how well they solve the problem. Okay, I'm going to stop at that and perhaps look at what you wrote in your...
Okay, Prof, can I interrupt sikit? So now it's almost 3 o'clock. Prof punya plan macam mana? Should you want to take maybe around 3:30, you want to take a time break around 10-15 minutes? Ataupun you nak Prof nak continue ke? Macam mana?
Boleh.
Saya recommend 3 hours. So you want to stop right now ataupun later on? Macam mana?
Can we do one of this Mentimeter punya apa? Okay. The next one. Have you all done this? Not yet.
Tidak, kalau okay, kita buka aja.
That's the same code.
Same code. Okay, can everyone boleh guna pergi ke Mentimeter? Ya.
Boleh ya? Okay, good.
Okay.
The same code.
So let's give Okay, so everyone boleh gunakan go to Mentimeter and masukkan kod tadi 98443225. Saya postkan balik sekali lagi. For those who just join in, you can go ahead and try to answer this question in a few minutes, insyaAllah.
Yes.
Prof Fauzia, saya pas pada Dr. KA kejap moderator sebab saya punya internet lagi.
Okay, no problem. I'm sure Dr. Zul, Dr. Asri, semua tu boleh jadi moderator if anything goes wrong. So it's all right. I think UTM people are very, very interactive. I kind of like the session. I expect afternoon everybody will be dozing off. So Alhamdulillah, I can hear voices. So that's good.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Mariam. Thank you. Right, we have some already. So in your view, why understanding pedagogy, andragogy and effective interactive teaching important to make learning process effective? Okay, sure thing important. The point is to know your audience and grab their attention in delivering the content. As a guidelines, it make our class more interesting, meaningful and valuable to the audience. It helps teachers to strategize their activities, to focus on delivering or making sure the learning objectives are met, to make our teaching and learning session more efficient and active. Yeah, to achieve satisfaction on both sides. Yeah. Actually, to tell you the truth, it's when you see your students transform because you do the activities in your classroom, that will give you the booster. Cakap pasal booster nanti semua orang macam sensitif kan. Lani kena cakap pasal jab, vaccine lah apalah. That will be your booster jab for your own motivation to teach via interactive teaching, because seeing is believing. When you see your students change daripada tak nak belajar kepada nak belajar, daripada tak faham kepada faham, daripada tak kisah kepada kisah, daripada biadab kepada dah mula ada adab, it makes your life meaningful too. That's what I see lah. Right, we will come back to this. Keep writing. I'm going to leave this. So, macam mana Dr. Hairul, we're going to have a 10 minutes break, is it?
It's up to you, Prof. Depends on what's your next. You rasa boleh break ke ataupun you nak sambung. Depends on are you going to what's your next slide or your next topic you want to talk about? Macam mana?
I don't mind if we have a 10 minutes break, and then after that we'll come back to do the engaging activities pula.
Okay, because our for the last few training kita practice kita ada 10 to about 10 minutes break untuk stretching and coffee break or toilet break. Sebab 3 hours depan PC ni memang kadang-kadang agak penat untuk kita. Kita pun adult learners segala semua. dah already around 4 series, 5 series kadang-kadang kan. So we need some stretching. So insyaAllah. So I hope everyone agree untuk kita take a 10 minutes break. And maybe Syam boleh playkan video stretching lah untuk kita sama-sama buat stretching sikit. InsyaAllah. Okay, thank you, bro.
I'll switch off the video for a moment, for 10 minutes, and I'll keep this on. Unless you want me to unshare.
Boleh Prof unshare dulu, nanti kita tengok balik after the break.
Okay. All right then.
Okay, all right. So Syam, please, Syam. Thank you.
We often get asked which exercises are best to do at your desk. So I'm going to run you through a simple routine to do throughout your working day. Okay, to all participants, kita akan continue in about 10 minutes at around 3:10 p.m. So I'll see you back in a moment. All right. Okay, Prof. Before we begin, saya ada letak dekat chat session bawah tu. I copy paste some of the feedback about this session for the last 1 hour ni. Maybe Prof nampak? Boleh nampak tak? So,
Okay.
ya, kita suka. This is interactive macam ni lah yang kita suka kan. When interaction between lecturer and student. So, yeah, I totally agree with you, and we all totally agree with you that interaction between student and lecturer or in any way kind of two-way communication is very important to get feedback. Macam dia kata sini, Alhamdulillah, all this stuff we feel great. They have many students, several few terminology, even Andragogy pun certain thing baru juga kita dengar good information. Alhamdulillah lah. So saya rasa maybe this is a beginning for us to engage you more later in the future, insyaAllah.
Inshallah, Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for the kind words.
Yeah, because we also receive, I think Mariam also receive, I mean, you can agree that sometimes kita memerlukan, because we have been teaching engineering for since the beginning. UTM is mostly engineering technical punya type of, and we don't have any education punya faculty di UTM. So we are very glad to have you here, and maybe you have been embodying this education and pedagogy deep down from the beginning of your study, and I hope later on you can share us and enlighten us to become a more better educator, insyaAllah lah.
Inshallah, Amin.
Okay, I will share with you later on for the rest of the participant. Kita minta tolong isikan kalau ada apa-apa maybe permintaan in the future for what sort of topic, maybe you can focus on Andragogy later on. You can write down in the link SharePoint yang saya bagi tadi for any comment or maybe for future punya training on this type of topic lah. Interactive teaching, Andragogy and pedagogy. So insyaAllah. So now it's 3:12 and we come back. Terima kasih semua. Welcome back to our training session for today. So I'm Karona Ibrahim. Sorry forgot to introduce myself. And pada minta tadi, sorry Prof Faizah. Actually I was saya misinformed PM Mariam berkenaan dengan your finishing term with director tadi. Actually I was referring to another one, PM Aisyah from UMP. She's also director of teaching and learning. So I was confused. There's so many director around. So please apologize for my misinformation tadi.
Okay.
But yeah, because we
I did explain to her. I did explain to her, and technically you're not wrong, because in 2018, memang I finished my term as the director. I was the director in 2015 to 2017.
Okay.
Then I asked the Vice Chancellor, boleh tak nak break sekejap? And the Vice Chancellor, although dia tak nak lepaskan, tapi akhirnya dia lepaskan. Alhamdulillah, that was the time when I had some time to do my preparation for AAN tu. Then I came back, after winning the AN, kena jadi dekan pula. So I was the dean for 2 years. And then after that, I minta untuk nak turun. Instead of dia turunkan I daripada jadi dekan, dia turunkan I untuk masukkan jadi director of University Teaching Learning Center. Okay lah, nak buat macam mana. Semua terima je lah seadanya.
Sebab dia kata kalau kelapa di tempat mana-mana pun, pulau pun tumbuh baik insyaAllah. Prof, okay, before we begin, saya ada satu quick question nak tanya. Okay, after all this 1 hour, we are listening to why adult learning and why it's important for having interactive learning. So basically, as your post as a director in teaching and learning in UUM, what is actually your strategy and in order to promote so that all the staff to carry out interactive teaching in your teaching work? How do you promote and encourage the staff?
Well, it's just the same as what you're doing right now, Dr. Hairul, where we encourage through webinar. And the best part of doing it when it's not online lah, I think so far I have to salute UTM lah. I have reservations having webinars in the afternoon, because usually afternoon ni macam orang semua dah macam tak larat dah kan. But UTM is so different. So usually in UUM we'll have it in the morning, because that's on Tuesday morning is where they don't have any classes. That's the time when we can do a lot of training or meetings lah. Tapi selalunya trainings will be done there. When we had the training face to face, when interaction was more personal in that sense, we were able to create I mean, it was easier for me to create potential mentees, kan? And I can see mereka transform lah. And when mereka transform, they then become the facilitator pula to facilitate the transformation for other, untuk dia punya faculty. So it was easy to do that way lah. So that's what I believe. My task is actually to find people yang ada roh dia tu. Roh untuk nak ubah, untuk nak really teach for making sure that students are able to not only learn and gauge the knowledge, but also know how to use the knowledge in their later lives. So basically, I see my role as that lah, to find potential people that I know I can help to kind of mentor, so that they then help to mediate the learning, because that's part of my like the theory ke model ke lebih kurang macam tu lah. How you can actually mediate the lecturers in order for them to mediate other lecturers, or how to help mediate the lecturers to mediate their students' learning. So if I can share this, I'm going to share with you, as I said just now, sekejap nanti akan ada some examples of what, because I know the last bit is about the technical tools that we can actually use for interactive teaching, especially when you're talking about online kan. I'm going to use one of my mentees punya effort in encouraging interaction. But I'm not saying that the grass is always green now. You don't ever think that it is easy. So don't falter when you rasa macam alamak my students dia tak buat apa pun. It's okay. Keep on doing it. Because bila you niat baik, insya-Allah Allah akan buka pintu hati depa tu, so that they will see keikhlasan you, and they will know that you are actually trying your very best, your level best, to make the class engaging for their own sake. So as much as you have the role to play, they have the role to play as well as a learner. So this is the process of tarbiyah lah that we need to do in the classroom. And once you do that, I think once you have those kind of people yang boleh champion kan, the right way of teaching, the right way of transforming learning, then insyaAllah the good vibes will be sent to many people lah.
InsyaAllah. Okay, baik. Thank you very much, Prof. Very nice answer.
Yeah.
Okay, please proceed with the rest.
Yang bagusnya bila webinar ni, almost everybody can tengok you kan, even the luar negara. So sometimes you don't know whether who you're going to change, whose lives. Yes,
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So we shall continue, yeah?
Yes, please continue. Thank you.
Right, I'm just going to show you what your friends have written, or what you have written. Just a quick sharing. Pelajar akan lebih merasa kepentingan terhadap apa yang mereka pelajari. Yeah, that's it. And most of you wrote about engagement, which I like, because I'm going to talk about engagement juga nanti. What are the elements of engagement, and I'm going to share you a piece of my writing as well, for you to refer. It relates to what I was talking about, how to mediate lecturers and all that. Right, having the correct interaction, the correct exact audience to become meaningful, to motivate each other, and to ensure that all the teaching materials and the topics discussed is actually important or understood well. I like this. Pelajar akan lebih merasa kepentingan terhadap apa yang mereka pelajari, bukan sekadar menghafal silibus bagi menghadapi peperiksaan. Betul. Sebab kalau pelajar tu dapat A sahaja, tapi at the end of the day dia tak tahu nak guna apa, dia tak tahu macam mana nak guna ilmu dia tu, the A becomes an A for that particular semester je lah. Doesn't make any difference. Tapi kalau dia dapat B pun, tapi pemahaman dia tentang sesuatu perkara itu dan pengalaman yang dia dapat daripada aktiviti-aktiviti yang you buat tu, menyebabkan dia ingat sampai bila-bila, insya-Allah the knowledge yang dia ada tu boleh membantu dia di kemudian hari. That's my take on it lah. Okay. Right. I keep this. Okay. Right, we shall continue, and I know we've done this. We will now focus on the interactive and interaction. And to do that, I have some activities that I have placed in the Padlet. So if you can help me, I'm going to give you time to go and write that in your apa dia panggil tu? Link. To click on that link.
It's okay, Prof. Saya dah letakkan link tu dekat dalam chat box.
Okay, dah dapat dah? Now. Right, just ignore this. Nanti kita akan buat. What I need you to do, Dr. Khairul,
Yes, saya.
is actually, ikut sekati je, itu kan nama orang kan. I minta maaf. Okay, is for you to actually help me, sebab sekarang ni kita dah ada berapa orang?
Kita lebih kurang 79 orang.
Okay, I nak
kita lebih 70 lebih lah.
Okay, kalau boleh 4 orang dalam satu kumpulan.
Okay.
79
79, ya lebih kurang.
Kalau you rasa boleh bahagi 3 lah.
Okay.
Forget about the number ni sebab I dah ingat ke kodnya sampai beratus-ratus, so I just bubuh saja number dia. How many groups would you have if it's 3 to a group, or what would be a good number? 3 to a group or 4 to a group?
I think 3 should be good. 4 pun okay, no problem.
Let's change that.
Between 2 and 4.
Let's change that to 3. Bagi dia macam. So if it's 3, how many groups do we have?
3 divided by 70 lebih kurang
27. About 27.
27?
Yeah.
Okay, if it's 27. Oh, hang on a minute. Ada benda yang missing here. So, right. Can you help me do the breakup? But before we do the breakup, I'm just going to explain to you all what you need to do, because I need to change the group number ni, the group setting ni. Basically, you're going to be given group. So depending on what group you are, katalah contoh you're in group 1. So you akan masuk dalam group 1 ni lah. Kalau you group 3, you masuk dalam group 3 ni, dan so on and so forth. And different groups will have different things that they need to do. And there will be only 3 members in the group. And what you have to do, you will be given the numbers, a group number assigned to you. And once you've already got that number, go to the respective groups and do the task lah. Boleh? Thumbs up
So
if you all
the
understand.
stuff is just basically I have to go to this same Padlet, tak ada Padlet lain-lain. So we just answer the question in the yang ada 3 video tu kan, video 1, 2 and 3 kan. I think that's and then kita describe.
Sekarang ni I akan I terpaksa ubah ni. I have to change dia punya number ni. Sebab sekarang ni kita ada 27, right?
Yeah, approximately, yeah, betul. Oh, originally you said 50 group lebih kurang.
Yes, 50. I went to 200 lah. So sekarang ni I know it's going to be 80, so I've got to change this. So give me some time to change that while you sort them into different groups. Can we do that?
Okay, insyaAllah. Isham pernah buat kan untuk sorting out into breakup random 3 orang per group. Isham dengar tak?
Okay.
Kalau
boleh. Maksudnya just set breakout session 3 per group, and then just let the system to randomly pick secara rawak lah untuk pastikan kepada 27 group 27 lebih kurang.
Dia dapat dalam 25 group.
25 group, okay, that should be fine, boleh.
Minus tu lah macam.
Okay, alright. Okay, Isham dah ready Prof. Fazia yang
yeah, you all go ahead and do. You all go ahead and do, and I just need to change the number ni. Nanti I tunjuk balik. Boleh?
Okay, boleh. So everyone,
Prof,
kita gunakan link
setting,
Padlet yang sama. We'll still be using the same.
setting for how many minutes ya?
Mhm.
Untuk breakout tu?
How many
20,
minutes? Yeah, Prof, how many minutes do you require?
well, 10 minutes for you to watch the video, 10 minutes for you to do the about 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
10 minutes
Sure.
of video, 5 to 10 minutes of writing the answer. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
writing or preparing, whatever. Yeah.
Syam minta set 10-20 minutes untuk breakout session tu.
So I think
Auto lah.
nanti semua orang akan dapatkan nama grup. Okay, Syam Dah set dah? Dah set?
Set dia
Okay,
punya group tu
untuk-
kepada nombor kan?
I think bila Sam dah set tu, setiap orang akan dapat dia punya nama grup dia yang keberapa. Bila dia appear join tu kan. Okay, you assign
Yeah.
to group number berapa. So you just
Yeah.
remember, semua orang tolong ingat grup berapa yang you guys been assigned to. And then nanti I just play the video according to the group yang dalam Padlet tu. Kalau katakan
Yeah.
group number 1, okay, you play the video yang number 1 tu. Kalau katakan group number 2, play video number 2 and so on and so forth lah. And then after that, that video maksudnya video ni is individual. Group member kena tengok dulu. It's about 10 minutes each dia punya video dia. No, very short one, 2 minutes
It's a short one, but I bagi
Okay.
tempo lah masa. Nanti bila I rasa macam I'm going to go into the group, so don't worry.
Oh, Prof akan jump from group to group ya?
Oh yes,
Okay.
never ingat I'm gonna drink coffee here.
Okay. So Isham dah set kan? Kita semua dah tak sabar nak tunggu tengok video mana tu.
Peserta boleh copy dulu link Padlet tu. Please copy the
Yeah.
Padlet first, because once you are going into the breakout session, you will lost all the chat. So copy first the Padlet.
Betul.
Thank you.
Okay. So nanti everybody just tambah dekat bawah tu, click on the plus sign bawah tu. Kan on each video tu bawah tu ada plus sign kan. So you can write anything there. So your comments for each group akan disusun di bawah the video lah. Macam tu ya Prof dia punya.
Ya, betul.
Okay, baik.
Tapi bila
dah set kan,
you nak masuk, every time you nak masuk kan tolong letak nama-nama you all juga ya. Nanti kan tak tahu siapa
dah.
punya.
Okay, put your
It's
name.
team member lah. Team member.
Yes.
Sebab ada juga yang guna Padlet ni dia tak login, so akan keluar anonymous je. So
Betul.
either you login dia akan keluar nama, or you just write your name and then your punya answer lah apa for the ni soalan tu. So pada yang ada account tu, I think no need to put dia punya nama, because nama akan appear dekat dalam Padlet.
Yeah. So this is a group work, you hantar satu saja. Tapi kena discuss lah apa yang you nak tulis, sebab masing-masing ada kerja masing-masing dalam setiap group tu.
Okay, Syam macam mana Syam? Macam mana
Okay, now.
session? Okay now Okay, semua orang ready?
See you in a minute in your groups.
Okay, kita punya berapa join?
I pun termasuk sekali saya pun terassign sekali ni.
Masuk. Okay, macam mana kita nak reassign? Syam, kita kena klik join ke sekejap?
Join.
Yes, kena klik join.
Oh, tapi bukan automatic ni sebab
Dia automatic divide kepada breakout session. Yes. Tapi
Okay.
masih lagi kena tekan.
okay, sorry. I think we as co-host kita tak masuk kot. Host dengan co-host kan?
Betul, patutnya. Tapi I bukan co-host. I bukan co-host tapi I ni dimasukkan. Boleh tak I jadi co-host?
I think Syam kena setkan Prof sebagai co-host, so then she can jump from group to group. Kalau tak, Prof akan stay dekat group tu.
Ya, dan group 5 ni tak cukup orang.
Oh no.
Saya pun jadi participant biasa tadi. Saya dah di so saya masuk breakout session lah kot kan. Saya join lah breakout session
Okay. Saya akan stay sini dengan untuk control the rest of the ni dengan Syam.
That's good, Dr. Hairul. Thank you. Kok daripada tanya soalan ke apa kan?
Ya, betul. Okay. Kita nak control time juga sekarang. Sudah 3:30. Kita bagi lebih kurang dalam 3:45 Kita Syam set time berapa minit Syam tadi? Okay. So kita still tengah-tengah tunggu tunggu respons dalam Padlet.
Tapi tadi Cik Syam, saya masih kena masuk session 5 ni, breakout session 5. Saya tak nak join ni.
Okay, saya keluarkan.
Alright. Terima kasih.
Dia power user kat sini. Dia punya.
Memang. Boleh saya masuk dalam jadi co-host so that I can masuk kat dalam grup-grup tu?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Prof.
Okay, dah set.
Thank
Alright,
you.
Prof.
Yeah. Right, see you in a minute.
Alright, insyaAllah. Kita dua orang Syam kat sini . Syam set masa berapa lama?
Nanti saya set tu 30 minit. So nanti kalau dah habis saya end je.
Oh boleh, maksudnya dia akan bagi okay. Bila semua dah Prof Fauzia dah balik-balik ke sini, so kita terus end macam tu Alright, cantik. Alright, thanks. Bagus betul lah Prof Fauzia ni.
Very quiet in this room. Dr. Rahima, are you there? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So you all tahu apa nak buat?
Tengok video tu kan. Tengah tengok.
Yeah. So cari, tengah tengok. Okay then. Okay. I'm sorry to kacau you all. Alright. Okay. I already.
Boleh Prof share ke? Share ataupun di chat ke? Boleh share.
Yeah, I shared already. That's how you spell it. Nearport.
Okay, near. Okay, kita search sekejap kat Google. I think the breaking session dah habis. Okay, so sekarang dah masuk balik in our main meeting.
Welcome back, dear participants who were very creative. I'm so happy to read your work. You're terribly brilliant. Yeah, good. Tell me, unmute yourself and tell me what's your experience. I know some of you tak pernah lah buat puisi, kami ni tengok technical, tengok gadget je, tengok elektrik wire je tiba-tiba nak kena suruh buat poem, Masya Allah. Well, what do you feel? Come on. If not, I'm going to do the what I used to do. Dr. Hairil Anwar. Are you there? Okay, ni mesti dah.
Kita tak ada, dia tak ada kat situ. Dia mungkin tengah ada something.
Yeah,
Okay,
Dr. Junaina? Are you there? No?
Mungkin kena unmute ke? Just unmute. Dr. Jun, she's my fellow colleague juga di fakulti.
Which faculty is that?
Faculty Electrical Engineering.
Oh, electrical engineering. Itulah nampak wire je kan. Tiba-tiba kena buat apa. Tapi Dr. Ahmad Charizard ni dah buat sampai 3 bahagian dia respon. Okay. Yang tu kira macam pelajar semelang lah. Alright, anyone wants to tell me, anyone that I've not heard their voices today that wants to tell me what they felt when they were doing this? Dr. Lokman, you look as if you want to say something. Dr. Lokman?
Yes, Prof.
Did you manage to do the task just now?
Probably I just make some comments, 2-3 lines comments, but I see PM Dr. already do the task maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So give me your feedback about what your experiences were.
As what I have write it down in the chat box in the Padlet. Probably, great teacher always earn respect from their respected student. So I take this as my challenge to convey my effective teaching so that to earn the respect by delivering the best from my teaching. And then my second comment is daripada situ saya nampak majikan yang terlalu bossy, dia akan yang tidak memahami kehendak rakyat ataupun kehendak pelajar akan tertinggal lah, will left behind due to tidak memahami kehendak pelajar lah. So sebagai kalau dalam konteks teaching, effective teaching, maksud dia kita kadang-kadang tidak bolehlah asyik menyalahkan pelajar tanpa memahami situasi latar belakang pelajar, keadaan pada masa itu. Then only we can menelusuri kehendak pelajar lah by having heart-to-heart session with them. So my humble opinion lah.
You know, your humble opinion make me really want to go to UTM one day and really meet all of you there lah. It's a nice positive vibes coming from listening to you. Anyone else? Thank you very much, Dr. Lokman.
Most welcome.
Kam ni siapa ni? Kam? Does it look like as if you want to say something? No? You don't want to say anything? Dr. Farah Nadia.
Yes. So I've responded together with my group mate just now, okay, regarding the third video. So actually I don't know what's the story all about. We just have the small portion of the video. So I couldn't exactly interpret what exactly is happening lah. So I just assume that Robin Williams is that great teacher. So when students get such great teacher, they will do whatever it takes to defend him from leaving. Yeah. So we can see it's a very strong scene here and very interesting. I think I might want to check this video, the whole movie later, maybe next time. The title is Dead Poets Society, right?
Right, Dead Poets
1989.
Society.
I
Brilliant,
think I
yeah.
should check it out one day.
Yes. Go and check it out. Very good.
Yeah, thank you, Prof.
Thank you for that. Dr. Shahazati, did you work with Dr. Farah or you worked on your own on something else?
Yes, Prof. I'm working together with Dr. Farah. We discussed together in a group.
Okay. Disqualified. Unless you want to say anything different. I'm sorry. No, I'm just saying. Do you want to say anything different?
What I can say is, I think this course from KAIS today, this evening, is very interesting, and for the first time in my life, in UTM, usually I don't know, I'm not interested to join KAIS course, but suddenly today, this evening, I eventually just joined this webinar, and I think it's very interesting to me to learn something new, because I've even heard the word Padlet, but I never use it. And the session with you is very interesting, Prof. It's enjoyable and tak mengantuk pun petang ni. Thank you very much, Prof.
So I hope you can use Padlet. That was the reason for me to give different people to do different things, so that you get a chance to see what Padlet can do, you know. Sebenarnya paragraph you can actually write in a Word and upload that in the Padlet. Boleh je, instead of writing it there. Tapi writing it there, you know. So there are lots of things that you can do. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else wants to say anything?
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Who is this?
Charizard.
Okay.
Me.
Oh, Charizard. Okay.
Of course, saya ni tak bagus lah, tak faham instruction. I just have to answer one of the slot. I give answer to all the three slot. But I just want to comment that when we are in breaking group just now, unfortunately only two of us, me and Mas Aina, I know her, but I tried to prompt her, no response. So this is how, if we want to conduct activity, we should give plenty of time to our students normally, because like I tried to contact and prompt her a few times, no response, so I answered it by myself lah. Assume that. So this is what actually our students do as well in group project. Probably just one of them who represents something, but we have to find a way that they communicate inside their group, and we have to give a plenty of time for them in such this online situation lah. I just want to comment about that. Regarding the activities, saya dah bagi jawapan tu. Okay, alright, Prof, itu je.
Brilliant. Okay, betul. Yang tadi tu memang saya pun agak dah you all tak boleh nak buat dalam tempoh 10 minit tu. Tapi macam gauging lah, trying to see what you can. Suatu macam tadi Dr. Hairul pun kata dia pun nak tulis poem yang group yang nombor 2 ni macam senyap je. I kata tak apa, bukannya kita nak hantar ke Commonwealth ke apa ke. We just want to make sure that the task is done kan. But you are right, Dr. Charizard, that can be a problem when the group members are not committed. So that's where the debriefing occurs. Kan kita akan buat tiap-tiap, katalah contohnya mungkin kali ni, and I kalau dalam situasi kelas, I tak akan buat 3-3 macam tu sekali. I akan buat satu. Contohnya semua orang akan buat paragraph, semua orang akan buat audio presentation, so that everybody can listen to everyone. Yang ini tujuan saya buat tadi, setiap kumpulan buat benda yang berbeza, sebab saya nak tunjuk secara tak langsung macam tadi Dr. Allah lah lupa dah nama dia. Start from S. After Dr. Farah works with who? Dr. Shazati. Right. Macam Dr. Shazati kata tadi, to expose people who have heard of Padlet but have not used Padlet. Kan? Padahal Padlet ni dah lama dah. Saya dapat guna Padlet ni sampai sekarang ni, kalau you nak masuk yang hak free tu, you hanya ada beberapa
tiga je dekat.
Tiga je kan, yang free. Lepas tu dah tak boleh dah. Saya dekat dalam tu ada beratus kot, sebab I have been using it for a long time, since I think 2012 kot. I like using it, but of course I use it for different reasons lah. I like it because of the color, the way, the interactiveness of it. Kan, everybody can be on the same page, and everybody can learn from each other and give feedback to each other. So I will not do yang tiga-tiga buat benda yang berbeza. Saya akan buat satu persatu. So the first time when mereka buat, dan katalah ada pelajar-pelajar yang macam ni, yang tak respon ke apa-apa ke, macam tadi I shared with Dr. Mariam and Dr. Khairul. I don't scold them, but I expect them to tell me what's the reason. And then they still have to do it, whether they do it now or they do it later. Do it now means they now have to, instead of me looking at everyone, siapa yang tak masuk dari dalam grup-grup tu, dia orang yang kena bagi comments kepada semua kawan-kawan dia orang. And in return, when they do it, their other friends will give them the comments and the feedback. So that way, the students are actually also engaging and communicating with each other. You have to understand, I'm sure if I were to ask all of you here, you're going to say the same thing. Some of you don't know who you're talking to. Kan? When you are asked to do at random, contoh lah, if I were to be in a group with Dr. Arfah or Dr. Amir, I don't know who they are. So the same thing is going to happen to your students. Imagine your students kalau yang daripada semester 1 tak pernah masuk UTM, asyik duk belajar daripada rumah je. They don't know how their friends look like pun. Jangan ceritalah who they are. Because no one buka video except for a few. Everybody will say their internet connection and everything. So it takes time for them to adjust from, remember I told you they were very, very well trained from preschool to tertiary to listen and take notes and only ask when they're given the choice to ask. So bila sampai dekat dalam university, when you're doing this activity where they have to communicate and they have to participate, some of them take some time to change. But don't use that as an don't use that as an excuse lah. Yang macam dia pun ni susah lah nak bercakap, terus tak mau buat dah. Tak boleh lah. Kita kena make sure. Mula-mula mungkin kita letak 10 minit, kita nak tengok cara dia orang. Lepas tu kita extend the time to 20 minutes, to 30 minutes, to make sure that they get the feel of it, that they're able to do lots of things. And then once you see that they know what they need to do, all you need to do is just to ask them to do it asynchronously. Kan kita ada synchronous and ada asynchronous. Yang tadi ni method yang saya tunjuk ni is how you still can do active learning through synchronous way of teaching. But you can also ask them to do more time given asynchronously. So they can have like a few good weeks to do whatever that you need to do through the Padlet. All you need to do is just to monitor and give them comments and if they need it. Okay.
Okay, Prof. Kita ada soalan kat dalam chat kita. This is something tanya pasal Padlet balik. Macam mana Prof dapat yang banyak-banyak Padlet tu? Sebab yang free ni 3 je. How do you get that 100 plus? You have to pay apa?
No. Itu zaman dulu-dulu. Masa dulu, it was a privilege that Padlet didn't say that you only have 3. Tapi lepas tu, I think in the year 2017 onwards kot, yang dia dah mula kata only 3 sahaja.
I see. Okay, baik. Okay, I hope that answer. And then Dr. Zulkifli also mentioned that ada alternative to Padlet. Dia kata ada Wakelet which is free, ada Linoid.com, Mix, Strombot, Netbot, Ini maybe all other participant yang tanya tadi boleh try one of this method lah. Okay, baik.
Benda ada banyak sangat-sangat. All you need to do is just to pilih yang mana yang yang senang, yang you suka lah, kan?
Okay, baik. Okay, Prof, continue, Prof.
Alright.
Okay.
Kenapa dia tak nak kejap wait, hang on a minute. I have a problem. I need to switch off this. And yeah, let's see. Yep. Right. So basically, what we have actually done just now was to try to interact. So you were interacting with the material that I gave you, which is actually the video. And some of you want to watch that video. It's a very good video. If you want to know what the characteristics of a good teacher, which really plays the students in his heart, that's a very good story to actually consider, to have a look, to watch. And I didn't give you instruction, but if you could actually give feedback to your students, to your friends just now, katalah everybody, if I say, okay, let's look at the Padlet, have a go at 5 minutes for you to give feedback to your friends, so you can actually provide feedback to your respective friends to do that. Yeah, so that's peer to peer. And teacher, some of the input that you have given from your friends, I've also provided some feedback. So that's feedback from the teacher. And for you, when I asked you those questions just now, how did you feel? What did you get from doing this activity? So that's also self-reflection. So the whole notion of interactive teaching is about enhancing that experience of being able to do on their own, able to communicate with their peers, able to present it to everybody, and ability to get feedback from their peers, ability to get feedback from their lecturers. So all these dynamics of getting feedback and improving themselves and improving their misconception, if there's any misconception, this actually helps them to learn better. Yeah, rather than just listening to you. Listening, kalau lah lecturing tu lebih banyak you lecture, lebih tinggi dia punya pemahaman, go ahead and lecture. Tapi unfortunately, it's not like that. The more you lecture, the chances are they're going to be very sleepy and they don't understand what's going on, and you know, we falter. Not everybody can serap the information like that. Right? There are some people who can, by just listening and they can remember, you know, sekali saja. But point is, we are giving the opportunities for people to really look at what the capabilities of them to do. Because remember, human are social being. Kan? Kita tak boleh duduk sorang-sorang. We will not be good. So we have to communicate. Sebab itulah pensyarah, I know all of you rasa macam tak best, sebab kalau saya pun rasa macam tak seronok. Kalau dekat dalam kelas kita boleh nampak semua orang punya muka, kita tahu siapa yang faham, siapa yang tidur sambil buka mata. Tapi in the online setting, it's like you looking at the computer. Sebab itulah it's more engaging. Macam tadi I tak terasa sangat sebab I can, walaupun I tak nampak who you are because you didn't switch on your video, but I know what you are thinking, how you are thinking. How do I know? I know how do I know? I know because I saw these people writing here. I saw them thinking and telling me what they thought about. I might not know how you look like, but I know how you think. I can give you feedback, and some of you are actually getting other friends to bagi feedback and all that, which is actually very, very good. So that's how I know how my students are actually thinking, and this is what I mean. bila kita nak ajar, yang paling penting ialah bukan apa yang kita tahu, yang paling penting ialah apa yang pelajar kita tahu. Macam mana pelajar kita berfikir? Macam mana apa yang boleh membantu dia memahami apa yang sepatutnya yang kita nak cuba sampaikan. Okay? Right, let's go back to that. I'm just checking what you're seeing. Okay. Right. So basically it's through their interaction that they receive from the facilitation from the teachers. So bila I bagi comments dekat you, the first time when you wrote and I said, well, you have to write a paragraph, dear. So that's considered as facilitation because I'm telling you, you have not understood what I want you to do. So reconsider what your input is. So that's getting feedback in order for you to be on the right on the track yang sepatutnya lah. So you're getting facilitation from your teachers, and sometimes you probably get facilitation from your peers because let's just say you tulis dekat situ you're not clear, ataupun mula-mula you buat you're supposed to do an audio video record. You can do audio or video record. And you wrote a paragraph and then you saw someone else yang masukkan dia punya input, dia letak video ataupun audio. It's through orang lain punya group tu punya input yang you realise, kenapa dia buat audio dengan video Lepas tu baru kita tengok yang dekat atas, oh memang kita kena buat audio dengan video. So secara tak langsung your peers pun akan bantu you untuk betulkan lah, not you, peers pun akan membantu students you untuk membetulkan apa yang sepatutnya yang dia tersilap lah. Sama juga other significant members here can be kalau katalah kita nak buat service learning ke, problem based learning ke, inquiry based learning where we have to communicate with other people, other communities. The same thing, other significant members can actually give them the feedback. So it's through the interaction that they have initially from others, and making sense of what it's all about until they internalize what they have learned. That is what learning is all about. Okay, so what is important is allowing or giving the opportunity for the students to actually let their voices be heard, their thoughts be heard, because their thoughts really matters, and that will influence learning engagement. Bila dia nampak macam ada feedback daripada rakan-rakan dia, I don't know, what was your feeling when I gave you feedback, with the stars and all that? What was your feeling? For those who got it, I didn't manage to do it for all, but for those who have got it, what is your feeling? You feel good? Yeah, feels great.
Dr. Farah kata feels great.
Yeah, of course. So if you feel great, can you imagine your students who come from don't know what kampung? A lecturer who's actually TS, dia pun tak tahu TS tu apa dia, dah ada PhD, TS lagi. So they feel like you are in the seventh heaven, they are never near you. But the fact that you say that they are great, that in itself is already a trajectory. A trajectory to say that, okay, I'm in control in this particular course. I'm getting there. I'm getting good feedback here. I want to know more. That's where learning engagement occurs. So I'm giving you this is my one of the writings that I wrote about continuous professional development and how it actually helps us to encourage learning engagement. But basically, when you're, in order for you to make sure that your students are engaged, the activities must be exciting. The activities must be challenging. Dia tak boleh senang. Kalau senang, jadi tidur macam chap nombor 1 tadi tu lah. Kalau terlampau senang. So if it's challenging, bila instead of dia muntahkan balik faktor-faktor dalam asas kesawanan, sekarang ni dia menjadi pencetus kepada projek-projek yang akan ada dalam kelas asas kesawanan dia. That is challenging to that person. But for the rest, it's challenging because they want to be like him. They want to know, they want to use him to get the information. So it's also challenging. So you're probably creating that challenging situation in order for them to be motivated to learn. And when they are able to see, to get feedback, they are able to solve the problem, it becomes rewarding. Okay, sebab tu saya kata begin with the right niat. Never ask your students to just focus on A. The right niat is actually the most important. I always tell my students, I don't really care whether you got an A or you're going to get a B or whatever. What's more important to me is what are you going to do with the knowledge that you're going to get from this particular course. That is more important to me. So begin with the right niat, cultivate the right attitude so that they feel excited, they get a sense of being guided, motivated, challenged, enhance the right behavior, so that you actually bila you nak kata enhance the right behavior, janganlah you terlampau shock sangat sampai you terlupa CLO kan. Macam yang tadi tu sesuai untuk kalau saya mengajar satu kursus yang related kepada pedagogy, nak tengok kepada ciri-ciri seorang guru, dan skill yang saya nak fokus adalah skill communication. Sebab tu dia punya, if you notice, semua dia punya apa yang pelajar kena buat ialah sama ada dia menulis ataupun dia bercakap. Skill on communicate. So go back to your CLO, go back to the course in order for you to understand, enhance the right behavior. Give them feedback and activities along the 14 weeks so that you can see them actually transforming from week 1 to the time when you are going to assess them in the summative assessment. And of course, immediate learning. Immediate learning is basically what my area is about. How do you challenge your students and yet you support them in learning? And igniting the cognitive element, that means fostering them to think, the whys and the how and what is it for them. Why do you ask those kind of questions? Because remember, the adults learn better when they can see the relevance. They can see the value of learning. That's where you foster the beliefs and the values of learning. So it's not just about the course. It's about human kan. Sebab tu macam doktor pula. Macam cikgu tu kata kan, it's not about poem, it's about life. Samalah, you ajar electrical engineering pun, it's not about electrical engineering, it's about life. If you don't understand what is the green wire and the brown wire and whatever, somebody's going to be dead. So that's the same analogy. And of course, the most important thing is to empower your students, to let them surprise you with their talents. I was totally surprised to see somebody from the mechanical or the electrical background writing poems, enjoying a movie, writing a paragraph, when all this while your work would probably be full of calculation and diagrams kan. Sekarang ni nak kena buat something totally different. So put yourself, the way in which you are learning something new is the same in which your students are learning your topic. It's new to them too. But the fact that when they are able to see the connection, make sense, you are able to empower them, and they will surprise you with all sorts of talents that you will be very happy, very proud to have such students in your classroom. Right, now I've got just a few more minutes to basically tell you, share with you what are the things that you need to consider when you're designing and engaging an interactive activity. And every time, if you're listening to me in previous talks in previous universities, although I was talking about alternative assessment or I was talking about whatever, I can never run away from telling the same thing again and again and again and again. The first thing that you need to consider is actually the course learning outcome. What is your course learning outcome? Sebab your course learning outcome will relate to your program. And your program sebenarnya dah ada falsafah di belakangnya. At the end of the day, you want to produce graduates yang macam mana? What kind of graduates are you going to produce? So your course is just the catalyst in order to make sure that what you envisage your students will do at the end of the program it began with your course. So your course learning outcome does matter. So understanding your course learning outcome is crucial because remember I told you need to harness the right habit, the right behavior. It's through the course learning outcome. You have to look at your verbs that you have, the level of the cognitive, the level of the affective. Is there any psychomotor? What are the skills that is involved? Yang inilah skills, the learning clusters. Sekarang ni dia panggil learning clusters. Dulu dia panggil skills. I consider them all as graduate attributes. Apa attribute-attribute yang you nak sebenarnya untuk dinaik, untuk digarapkan, diasah apabila mereka masuk ke dalam kelas you for your particular course. So if your course is designed for communication, your students tak ada kerja lain dah. Asyik communicate je lah jawabnya. If your course is designed for ethics, your classes will be discussing about ethical issues. That's what it means. All right. Then only you look at the topics. What are the topics that's related to the course learning outcome? Because you are supposed to engage, to activate those verbs. Katalah you ada 3 course learning outcome. I don't know how UTM does. Katalah first course learning outcome is on cognitive level 4 misal kata. So kena tengok topik mana yang relate to C4. Sebab mungkin ada CLO2 tu C5, you know. So yang CLO2 tu mungkin cakap setopik lain. So that's why you jangan tengok topik saja. Tengok topik tu dan CLO yang dikaitkan. Sebab activity level ke challenging untuk activity tu depends on the course learning outcome. And of course it relates to the topics. And of course, as all of you have said, those who have spoken today mentioned, and especially Dr. Lokman tadi, who mentioned about understanding students, very important, so that it's through the understanding them, they earn your respect. In return, they respect you, and that's how they become engaged when there's this bond between the lecturer and the students. So how do you design? I just say smart education. It's nothing to do with the smart tunnel kat Sungai Besi tu. Basically, smart education is just make sure that's why your course learning outcome is very specific. What is the skills that's related to your course? So you need to know and start seeing that, how to activate those verbs. If it's differentiate, minggu-minggu yang ada CLO tu, students you punya activity ialah asyik differentiate je. Differentiate macam mana? Differentiate melalui role play, differentiate dalam mind map, differentiate dalam table, differentiate dalam debate, differentiate. Macam-macam cara untuk dia pun nak differentiate. Tapi kerja dia pun ialah untuk differentiate. And if you've got 120 students, all you need to do is just to have one big chart. Minggu ni siapa yang dah bercakap, minggu depan siapa yang dah bercakap, minggu lagi satu siapa yang bercakap. Maksudnya at the end of your class, or maybe at the end of the semester, all your students have spoken. You have heard all their names, voices. You might not know their names, but you know their voices because they have spoken in your classroom. That's where you provide them the formative assessment. When you give activities, you're providing them formative assessment. If there's any misconception, betulkan. And cara you betulkan bukan kata salah tu and the jawapan ialah macam ni. No, that's not challenging. That's telling. Challenging is when you ask other people, you ask them to reflect balik how, kenapa, why, semua tu dalam interaction you tu dia akan dapat cari sebab-sebab dia yang dia tersilap tak mana. And sometimes through the presentation, when someone else present, dia tengok orang lain present macam mana, baru dia perasan, oh, I cakap tadi tu tak betul . Kadang-kadang if dia berani, dia pun akan PM tepi lah. Prof, yang tadi saya cakap tu saya silap ya. Tu kalau berani lah. Tapi dia PM tepi. Saya cakap it's okay silap sekarang, jangan silap masa exam. Itulah cara dia. Kalau silap masa exam, I tak boleh bantu. Kawan-kawannya pun tak boleh bantu. Tapi it's very good. Well done you for realizing it now. Okay, then we talk about whether it's attainable in terms of whether the task is meaningful, engaging for learning to take place. realistic. Janganlah suruh buat benda-benda yang susah benar untuk dia nak buat. Dia banyak sangat dia punya technical things. Contoh, you ajar asas kesawanan, lepas tu you nak suruh dia orang buat apps yang boleh jual barang. Asas je kot, belum lagi nak nak suruh jual. Dah mula dah ke arah yang tu. So kena fikir-fikir baliklah whether it is actually relevant atau tidak untuk dia nak buat task tu. Especially kalau dia punya course learning outcome tu hanya differentiate, identify. Dia tak suruh pun design an app. Dia tak suruh pun sell a product ataupun propose a product that you want to sell. Dia tak cakap pun, that's not part of the CLO. So go back to your CLO, from the CLO dan start thinking what would be related to the real world context in view of the CLO, in view of the topic. And time based, whether it can be done. Macam tadi tu, of course lah 10 minutes. Mana boleh buat untuk tiga benda tu? I pun tahu. But I'm just showing to you, although it was impossible, it was still done by all of you. Can you imagine if I gave you more time? You know, you could have done really Pulitzer Award poems or paragraphs, I'm sure. Right? So time-based and taking consideration into individual differences is also important. So these are examples of what I have used lah. I know it's not clear tapi I nak tunjuk je lah. The use of Mentimeter, macam tadi tu, Mentimeter tu sebenarnya boleh buat macam ni kan, word cloud dia panggil, Padlet. But what I miss truly is actually this. I'll just share with you what I asked my students to do. Long time ago, when these are my undergraduate students, they don't understand theories. I have to teach them child and adolescent psychology. And they are always confused with all the sorts of theories that were exposed. Memang banyak lah, about 20 theories in this particular course. And they always get it all mixed up. And I still have my children, they were still young, and I don't throw away the boxes of cereals, cereal boxes too, rather than throwing it away, I cut it and I gave it to them because I geram sebab asyik-asyik got it mixed up je. I said, okay, we have to do something about this. So I started asking, the reason why they got mixed up is because students, although you tell them, please read chapter 1 for our discussion or read chapter 2 for our discussion, do they read? No, they don't. And that's normal. If you have students who read, please go and sujud syukur right now. You know, because it's very rare to have students who actually read. So what do? I know that they don't read. So I want to tell them that if you don't read, this course was a 60-40. 40% will be final exam. If you don't read, you're not going to do well in your final exam because the questions, dia punya course learning outcome tu banyak macam itulah explain. Dia macam lower. The lower tu dia banyak macam kena muntah balik lah all this theory. What is the theory? Explain the theory and apply the theory. Habis tinggi apply je. So that's when I started asking them to write any word that you can remember in your for the past few weeks that I have taught you. So they started writing lah. So you can see that this is all their handwriting. So they wrote lah. They were happy writing. But of course, before they wrote, I asked them to each and every one of them to tell what they're going to write. And whoever said anything, orang lain tak boleh tulis dah. Contoh kalau I kata Piaget, four stages theory. Orang lain tak boleh guna dah Piaget and 4 stages theory tu. Dia kena cari benda lain. So by the time I had about 57 students in this class. By the time I reached the 20 students, everybody macam, alah dia dah ambil dah. Semua orang dah mula buka buku. Sebab mereka dah tak boleh ingat dah perkataan-perkataan tu. So mereka buka buku and mereka start searching for one word that will help them. So they thought that letak perkataan tu selesai lah masalah mereka. Rupanya I kata, okay, now that all 57 of you have got the words, now push these chairs to the back. So they push all the chairs to the back. Mereka semua dah panik dah, kenapa ni, kena push the chairs to the back. Now, I just want one volunteer. Who would want to volunteer? So ada seorang tu lah dia volunteer. I kata okay, good. Now letak you punya dekat bawah. Lepas tu dia pun letak lah dia punya dekat bawah. Dia punya Dia punya apa yang dia tulis tu lah. So I cakap okay, now you call anyone else. Just call someone else. So dia pun call lah. So I cakap you have to see apa yang dia letak dekat bawah tu. In view of yours, how is that related? Contoh, kalau dia semua tu relate to cognitive theory, letak dia satu sebelah. Kalau dia relate kepada learning theory, letak satu sebelah. Kalau dia relate kepada behavioral theory, letak dekat sebelah. So where's yours? So mulalah kelas I tu bising ya Rabbi, sebab all of them tengah discuss, tengah bergaduh. Ni tengah bergaduh ni. Dia nak bergaduh kata yang ni bukan tempat dia dekat sini. Yang ni kata ya, kena letak kat sini. Dia ni dah confused dah. You know, dia dah macam, I don't know why you all just tell me where I should put my name saja. And I didn't show you one. There's one picture about a group of students. They sat on one corner. Dia start buka buku tu sebab dia baru nak baca the theory. Now, we continued that activity for at least 3 meetings. But right after that, I asked them to do a mind map. And right after the mind map, I asked them to present. In that particular semester, compared to the previous semesters that I was just lecturing, I had a good time lecturing. They enjoyed the class, gelak, but they still didn't do well in the exam. But for this particular group, they showed me evidence that made me change forever. They showed me that because they were involved in the activities, they were able to remember. You letaklah soalan tu macam mana sekalipun, dia akan faham macam mana nak jawab. Because they can see the connection. Sebab I dah kata dekat mereka, once you have already presented the mind map, put the mind map near your bed. Every time when you get up, before you go and shower in the nak mandi, tengok mind map mana and you start thinking, cakap Piaget's theory ada 4 stage, ni apa dia. Selagi you tak dapat, jangan keluar daripada shower room tu. I selalu lawak dengan dia pun macam tu lah. Some of them actually took it literally and that's how they got A lah. They know the theory very well. And this is an example of how I daripada yang tadi ni mind map ni sebenarnya. This is mind map on the floor, I kata. Okay, it's on the floor. This is mind map that finally they showed in the Padlet lah. This was in 2015. In 2014, I also asked them to do in an A3 paper of their punya mind map. So some of them actually learn from each other rather than menulis dengan tangan. They start writing guna Poplet and all that. Poplet is actually a good way of doing mind map too. This is the MOOC that I told you about. Right after I designed MOOC, macam hidup I lebih mudah lah sebab especially for remote teaching ni, I'm glad that I did it. I did this when I was a pengarah in 2016, complete that in 2017. The reason why I did the MOOC then was because I was the pengarah. I wanted people to do MOOC. I wanted to know what pensyarah will go through in order for me to facilitate them as a director so that I will defend, nak bagi tahu dekat universiti apa yang sepatutnya kita kena bagi dekat pensyarah-pensyarah ni untuk galakkan mereka buat MOOC. So I went through that process in order for me to understand what this MOOC development is all about. It's not easy, I know, especially masa tu tengah pegang jawatan. So it took me about two years to do this. And I tried. I piloted it with my students and I find it very interesting because masa asynchronous tu I betul-betul can let them go because bila pakai LMS tu chances are kadang-kadang diorang ada problem lah. Yang open learning ni kind of like very easy for them to use lah. That made me become excited and start doing my second MOOC, which I did it in 2 months. Yang tadi tu 2 years, yang ini I buat dalam masa tempoh 2 bulan sebab dah naik share, dah rasa macam seronok sangat-sangat. The reason why I did this MOOC pula because in UUM we have postgraduate diploma for higher education learning and teaching. This is meant for our new lecturers, so they will have a diploma at the end sebagai syarat untuk dia pesah dalam jawatan. Postgraduate diploma for higher learning and teaching. So one of the courses is this. This is the course that I'm teaching. So I designed the MOOC sebab dalam LMS kami pada ketika tu tak boleh nak guna disebabkan I tak ingat the number of students. I think about 36 of them. Campur dengan saya ada 37 instructor dekat dalam tu. Sebab dia dah the system recognizes them as a lecturer, not as a student. You know, so it's difficult lah bila ada apa ni like dia punya status tu sebagai lecturer. So terpaksa lah saya gunakan apa ni open learning ni untuk nak buat MOOC, and from there this is where kursus ni adalah lebih kurang macam this, I consider yang ini adalah kursus orientasi saya kepada remote teaching lah. Sebab kursus ni design for 3 kali sahaja pertemuan bersemuka. Yang lain semua adalah secara online. Okay. So we designed it in such a manner ada 4 CLOs, so I put it in terms of module. There are 4 modules that they have to go through. Now, masa pertemuan yang pertama was dia punya assessment for pertemuan yang pertama ialah quiz. So saya tak boleh nak jumpa dia orang untuk nak bagi what is the module all about. So I had to design in such a manner, it's as if I'm there doing my video, doing my interactive activities in the MOOC. Sebab nanti soalan-soalan tu akan relate kepada dia punya activities yang ada dekat dalam modul tu. So yang tu depa quite shocking lah. Depa macam terkejut sebab soalan depa duk ingat macam tak payah baca. Ni pensyarah bukan student, sama je. Depa ingat tak payah baca, tak payah go through the MOOC because soalan dia mesti soalan-soalan yang biasa-biasa je. Do you know how do you understand your students? Sekali tengok my soalan was in module 1 unit 2 there's a video that shows I bagi title je video tu. What 3 things can you identify from that video? So orang kalau tak tengok tak boleh jawab lah jawapan dia kan. So depa semua macam today I learn how to write good assessment, good questions from you. And the best part of it is through that ada banyak activities, but when I want to give them the quiz, I was able to give them individually, padahal tak pernah jumpa ni. Give them individually, and that was shocking because there's one pensyarah ni, nama dia panjang. Dia kata, "Doktor, how did you know who I am? Because selalunya tak pernah orang tahu siapa nama saya." I cakap, "You perasan tak bila masa I nak bagi dekat you all your quiz, I tunduk dan tengok muka you sebab I just nak check je muka you dengan muka yang you letak dekat dalam MOOC ni. Some of you macam jauh benar mudanya dekat dalam ni, in real life lain. Some of you macam in real life punyalah lawa. You know, I just wanted to make sure yang tu sahaja. But the reason why I know, it's not that I need to know how you look like. I already know how you think. How do I know how they think? I've got 37 students, or I think it was 36 students who responded to the forum or responded to a task. How they respond to the task tells me how they think. Ni some of the reflection yang ada dalam tu lah. Right, Dr. Zul showed to you other apa tu? Macam other than Padlet, ada apa tadi? Wakalert and all that. Trello is also something that's similar to Padlet. This is what my mentee did. Remember I told you about my mentee? She used Trello. Saya ajar Padlet dekat dia. She went and explored more and found Trello. I belajar daripada dia tentang Trello. Can you see the beauty of learning and sharing? That it's not just me asalnya kononnya nak mentor dia, terbalik lepas tu dia pula mentor I untuk penggunaan Trello. So that was the beauty of sharing. So this is how she used to teach Islamic principles in marketing management, where the students are actually doing projects and they showed all their processes of doing it. And she tried using service learning untuk this particular project. And this is one of the students' reflection. And this course kan, yang ni lah I kata trajectory of learning ni. dia kata mereka sepatutnya kena buat bantu proprietors of the peniaga-peniaga dekat kafe dekat UUM untuk dapat pensijilan halal sebab they are from the Islamic Business School. So nampak tak student tu kata alhamdulillah segala urusan dipermudahkan, kedua-dua pengusaha di bawah kelolaan kami memberikan kerjasama yang baik walaupun sibuk mereka sedia memberi ni. Selain juga mengikut menggunakan WhatsApp sebagai mudahkan urusan untuk mendapatkan hasil yang terbaik perlulah pengorbanan masa, tenaga, memerlukan kesabaran yang tinggi. Semoga jihad kami ini diberkati dan mendapat keredaan daripadanya. Depa ni mula-mula punyalah seksa untuk nak jumpa dengan orang, nak bercakap dengan orang. Okay, number one, some of them, okay, if I can show it to you. Ni, some of them come from Islamic schools, okay, religious schools. The first time ever they were asked to sit in groups where there are males and female in a group. That was also a problem to them. Lepas tu dah lah tak cukup nak bercakap dengan yang the different opposite sex tu pun satu masalah. Ni nak cakap dengan strangers pula. Untuk nak dapat persijalan halal yang kemungkinan akan kena sepak keluar daripada kedai kan sebab people don't want to think about the hassle. But the students, with the guidance from the teacher and the perseverance, and after they see what they have done and help they realize yang paling bermakna tu bila dia realize yang customers take it for granted that peniaga tu adalah orang Islam, maka semua halal. Tapi sebenarnya halalan thayyiban tu dia relate kepada cara penyimpanan makanan, where is the punca makanan tu. So apabila dia dah faham bahawa proprietors pun not clear and the customers are taking things for granted, we need to educate these people. So in the process of them educating and finally helping them to get the persijalan halal, sampai dia cakap dekat pensyarah dia, okay, doktor, boleh tak kita present kepada TNC HEPA sebab semua kafe-kafe ni di bawah TNC HEPA. Boleh tak kita present apa dapatan kami ni dekat TNC HEPA sebab nak pastikan semua peniaga-peniaga kafe dekat dalam UUM ni akur kepada faham tentang konsep halalan thayyiban and all that. Can you see the trajectory from someone who cannot speak to an opposite sex to now having the confidence to speak someone of authority? And tak ada kena-mengena langsung dengan grade untuk dia punya. It's not part of their assessment, It's what they want to do. And at the end dia kata, this course has taught me that I have a jihad, in this whole thing. I need to make sure that I educate the people, the community around me, because people tend to take things for granted. So I have a role to play. I have to do something. Inilah apart from the jihad that they were talking about. Okay, this is Poplet. When I showed to her about mind map, she went off on a tangent to do mind map via Poplet because she says by using Poplet, you can actually ask students to work in collaboration and design the mind map real time. So kalau you nak guna Poplet ni dalam your teaching and learning activities, well and good. Okay, this is an example of Poplet. Yang ni her sharing of the Padlet lah. Yang ni yang very recent one. This is where she did her e-service learning, pengurusan wakaf and Baitul Mal, which is actually a very exciting project about how they help the community to become sustainable in terms of funding. Yang ni dia tolong masjid-masjid. Yeah. These are some of the examples lah. Okay, so that's showing to you what others have done. So in a nutshell, what do we need to do? We need first to understand our CLO. We must understand our learning skills. We must look at what are the topics that's involved. Start brainstorming the activities. Start thinking about what kind of activities that we can do. Then write down the instructions so that the activities are clear, the instructions are clear. And then you look at the evidence. See what she has and what I have also from this is actually evidence of learning. Evidence of process of learning. Daripada stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 sampai dia selesai. Asalnya dia punya assessment ni nak siapkan report je. But they share what their learning processes as they go along, for you to provide them with the feedback. And it's through those evidence is where you can get the assurance of learning, that you know learning has taken place, and no one can deny that your students have actually fulfilled the course learning outcome, and you have already given them the feedback for improvement, and that if they happen to excel in your course, almost all of them do well in your course because of the activities that you do and the feedback that they get. No one can deny your students from getting the grades that they deserve. But you need to make sure that you have the evidence to have the assurance of learning. So the role of the educators, number one, as Dr. Luqman has said just now, understand who your learners are, who they are. Where are they in terms of prerequisites of knowledge? What are their barriers to learning? You have to address that. We have to find out why is the chap sleeping or disappearing in the classroom, so that you can provide the right support for the particular student and for the rest of the students. Acquisition of knowledge. Without doubt, you as the expert, the content expert, needs to really know your content. Jangan you pun sama-sama naik dengan pelajar. Hari ni kelas, hari ni juga nak belajar ada chapter because lepas ni nak kena transfer kepada pelajar. No, you have to make sure that you master the content. Sebab tu masa saya jadi dekan, saya pastikan penyelaras ketua jabatan bagi jadual waktu tu, kalau baru mengajar kursus yang baru 3 semester sebelum tu. So you have at least 1 year to prepare. Kalau kursus yang sama, you need to know what course you'll be teaching next semester, this semester, 1 semester ahead. So that lecturers can, by doing that, all the lecturers sepatutnya tak ada sebab lah untuk nak kata dia tak sempat untuk nak design the activity dalam kelas dia. Sebab dia have ample time to start thinking about the activities. Jadi, you have to master the content. And the students, what they're going to do is they construct the knowledge. And together, through your interaction, you co-construct the knowledge. Excuse me. And then finally, motivation. Yeah. My throat is also telling that. Keep motivated. Yeah. Keep motivated. Observe the evidence-based practice, macam saya kata tadi. When you see your students improving, rejoice that. So you need to learn how to motivate others, but of course, motivate yourself first. Be excited to be in your classroom because positive vibes are contagious. When you send positive vibes, your students will get it. They will see the keikhlasan that you are trying to, do. And of course, always do continuous quality improvement. Never think that just because you won an award or whatever, at whatever level, that you are perfect. No one is perfect. And there's always room for improvement and there's always room for growth because the situations will differ. The kind of students that come into your classroom will be different. You need to unpack those differences in order for you to learn how to do better in whatever that you're doing. Because an excellent teacher does not come just like that. An excellent student is the result of a great teacher and inspiring teaching. Yeah, that's it. Stay safe, everybody. Stay healthy, and thank you for listening. And I welcome some questions if you do have.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Fauzia, for a very enlightening session, a enlightening lecture, as well as a very interactive activities that we have had. So, okay, Pia Mariam, you want to continue or you want me to take over?
Sure, if it's not that part. Is it okay?
Okay, I think now it's time almost 5 o'clock. Kita buka soalan kepada semua participant. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan nak tanya, you can just unmute your mic or you can write down the chat session bawah ni. Okay, siapa-siapa ingin berinteraksi direct dengan Prof Fauzia, ni daripada all the way from utara jauh berapa ratus kilometer ni. Tapi alhamdulillah kata jauh di physically, but I think we are all dah nampak closeness dalam hati nampak muka masing-masing pun. That's why I think sometimes bila kita interact dengan student pun kita suruh dia buka video masing-masing tengok muka kan. So anybody wants to talk, nak cakap apa-apa dengan Prof Fauzia, or maybe Dr. Mariam pun nak tanya apa-apa. Before that, kita ada juga di sini Professor Dr. Jaria. She's a director for Center for Academic Excellence, director juga sama position dengan Prof Fauzia. I think
tak pernah berjumpa lagi.
Jaria boleh nak?
Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, sorry tadi Prof Fauzia tak sempat nak jumpa awal because and also thank you a lot Prof Fauzia, and also to all participant, Dr. Khairul, Dr. KA as moderator, and PM Mariam. Alhamdulillah I sempat join during 4:15 tadi sebab ada mesyuarat JKTS HA Prof, and also ada kelas ganti because yang my class is on the day students are coming back from their hometown tu, so needs to prepare for this afternoon lah untuk kelas ganti. Thank you Prof, we learn so much. InsyaAllah we will keep on with our struggle to keep on the engagement with students, and we learn much more now. The activities saya selalu guna Padlet je, Mentimeter, so sekarang kita dah ada lagi Padlet, Trello, and semua-semua tu insyaAllah we will keep on motivated and inspired by all the works that you have shown, and we learn and keep sharing with each other. Thank you Prof.
Thank you Prof.
Okay, ada soalan lagi? Terima kasih PM Jaria. InsyaAllah maybe after this maybe UUM punya Center of Teaching and Learning maybe can sit down together, maybe kita boleh share each other, maybe share some best practices. InsyaAllah maybe one day we can arrange that session ke apa, insyaAllah bagi nanti. Alright, so any ada soalan apa-apa daripada audience? Tanya apa-apa berkenaan dengan maybe ada benda yang nak ditahu lagi ke, yang mungkin perlukan penerangan ke? Okay, anybody please turn on punya mic, unmute. Ada siapa nak tanya? Silakan. Ini sesi pun dah tamat ni, dah pukul 5. Okay, sebelum kita
dah penat dah.
3 jam pun tak apa insyaAllah. Kita penat. Itulah pengembangan kesabaran.
67 orang still intact dalam 3 jam ni. Salute lah.
InsyaAllah harap begitulah. Okay, ada siapa-siapa yang nak bertanya apa-apa dengan Prof Fauzia? Okay. So maksudnya sekarang mungkin saya ada satu soalan yang maybe very general lah, umum lah, mungkin lecturer yang nak tahu berkenaan dengan interactiveness, macam mana kita nak maintain kita punya motivation. Okay, kita nak buat our class as interactive as possible, as engaging as possible. Macam mana kita sebagai di sini kita nak motivate ourselves untuk sentiasa to come up with to have to improve our teaching and learning practices to be more interactive. Macam mana kita nak motivate diri sendiri gitu, Prof, kalau ikut pendapat.
So tu dah I kata kita cari kenapa evidence based tadi ni. Saya selalunya kalau dapat pelajar-pelajar yang teruja, yang mengujakan, macam mana tu, bukan teruja, pelajar-pelajar yang macam challenge saya with all sorts of ways lah. Saya yang teruja. I want to know how can I make this person see why this course is important without me telling that this course is important. So what I'm trying to say here is you have to put yourself in the position where challenges are something yang you want to take macam you like being challenged. When you have students who are like that, you want to see how whether or not you can actually overcome that challenges and finally succeed. Your success will be when the students are able to change, kan? Sebab what is the definition of learning? Definition of learning is when there is constant and permanent change over time. So change dekat sini tak semestinya, yalah mula-mula kita nak suruh dia orang change daripada tak tahu tentang electrical engineering kepada tahu. Tapi mula-mula kita nak kena tengok juga, remember I told you about behavioral changes tadi ni, what you need to inculcate the right habits, the right adab. Kalau dia tak ada adab untuk nak belajar tu, betulkan yang tu dulu. You know, get them motivated to learn and contribute so that then they will somehow being influenced to learn about electrical engineering. So so enjoy those moments where you see little changes because of the activities that you do. Okay, let me give you an example. I know I'm saying this because mungkin dah pukul 5, I pun dah macam lambat lah nak fikir kan. There was a time when I had to teach PKPG students. PKPG students ni adalah guru-guru sandaran dan guru-guru di sekolah rendah yang tidak terlatih. GSTT dia panggil. Guru tidak terlatih. Masuk guru tak terlatih ni, dia orang ni mungkin masuk dengan STPM ke, you know, so they were not trained as as someone with a BEd degree, kan? So they were given warrant daripada kerajaan, Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia untuk dia orang belajar lagi. So in my class, dia orang ni nanti bawa nasi lemak, tiba-tiba je tengah dalam kelas ni, tiba-tiba buka nasi lemak ni, nasi lemak dalam dewan kuliah, okay? So it's like the whole entire dewan kuliah tu akan bawa nasi lemak. So I selalu nanti kata dekat mereka, you know, there's a saying, kalau berjiran, kita nak masak apa-apa, kalau kita masak and bau masakan tu pergi kat jiran, you kena bagi jiran tau. So kalau you nak makan nasi lemak, you kena bersedia untuk bagi setiap orang yang ada dekat dalam dewan kuliah ni dan termasuk saya, because I also came rushing this morning to the dewan kuliah without my breakfast to meet you. So daripada situlah dia kata, Puan boleh tak kami 10 minit break untuk nak pergi makan. Saya cakap okay, go ahead, go and have a 10 minit break untuk makan, tapi tak boleh makan dalam dewan kuliah. I explain lah, sebab kalau makan kat dewan kuliah terabur nasi lemak tu, dah tikus akan datang dan akan rosak semua dia punya wire-wire and all that. So the best is to drink or makan coklat, okay, no problem. Tapi untuk nak makan nasi lemak, kita bagi masa 10 minit rehat. There was a time when I asked them pula, kita tengah suruh somebody cakap, kawan dia ni tengah bersembang. So I pun macam, kan kalau kita dalam adab, orang bercakap, kita sepatutnya dengar kan. So dia kata ya. Lepas tu bila I tanya dekat dia, how are your students? Orang yang bercakap tadi ni dia kata, kita bercakap, dia orang bercakap, students ni tak pay attention. Lepas tu I terus cakap dekat dia, kata dulang paku serpih ya. Lebih kurang je you tadi masa orang tu tengah bercakap sama je. So it's through a joke, but there was tarbiyah going on there. And the best part of it is I asked them to do the mind map, and I asked them to do to put it on the wall and start presenting. Masa I suruh dia orang buat mind map, yang cikgu-cikgu yang nakal-nakal, I consider them as nakal because dia ni dah lebih berumur daripada saya. Maksudnya dia ni bukan pengetua, dia tak panggil pengetua, dia panggil apa? Guru besar. Dia ni guru besar. Dia rasa macam I'm older than you ni pensyarah muda, So I can like macam twist you and putar belik you sekejap je kan. Tapi I selalu cakap dekat mereka macam ni. When you come into Universiti Utara Malaysia, nampak tak pagar yang yang pintu gerbang tu? Nampak. Okay, bila sampai kat pintu gerbang tu tiap-tiap pagi, letak you punya nama-nama you tu dekat the bushes. Put it at the bushes. Okay, because when you enter the pintu gerbang, you are all students of Universiti Utara Malaysia. You're no longer the guru besar, you're no longer the penolong kanan, you're no longer the guru at sekolah, whatever. But when you're going home, you nampak pintu gerbang tu, don't forget to pick your names, because dalam kelas saya, you all akan gelak dan seronok satgi you buat macam tu juga masa you jadi guru besar dalam mesyuarat. Habis PPD tu tukar you daripada jadi guru besar terus turun pangkat jadi penolong kanan. So dia pun semua gelak. Kau. Okay, fine. So one group of guru besar ni datang jumpa dekat I, dia kata, "Doktor, boleh tak kami hantar esok?" Dia cakap, "Kenapa you nak hantar esok?" Kami ingat macam hantar dekat doktor je, tak tahu kata nak kena tunjuk dekat semua orang. Kami buat macam simple je doktor, kalau banding dengan orang lain. Itulah maksud saya belajar daripada rakan-rakan dia. Bila dia tengok kawan-kawan dia, ya Allah, mind map dia betul-betul nampak very complex. Yang dia orang punya ada 5 teori, yang tengah-tengah tu dia punya tajuk kursus tu, cabang 1, cabang 2, cabang 3, cabang 4, cabang 5. Tu je. Dia jadi macam matahari, macam budak-budak sekolah rendah lukis matahari. So I kata, tak apa cikgu, letak je dekat on the wall. It's okay. Just put it on the wall. This is the learning process. What do you think will happen in the next activities? Do you think that they will repeat the same thing? Of course not. Dia tak mau dah jatuh air muka dia kan. And the best part of it is dia guru besar. Ada satu guru dia yang ada kat dalam kelas tu juga. And dia rasa guru ni mandom. Maksud mandom tu jenis yang tak cakap banyak, senyap. Tapi masa cikgu tu present dia punya mind map, bukan main lagi, dia terang macam air yang mengalir. Sebab dia orang yang senyap, tak semestinya dia tak tahu apa-apa. Orang yang senyap, dia ada kita dalam personality manusia ni ada type A, type B. Type A ni bising je lebih. Tapi kadang-kadang kerja tak betul juga. Type B ni dia very quiet but dia punya kerja is very good. So this particular student, guru dia tu was able to present very well sampai dia rakamkan cikgu tu punya presentation. So after because I asked them to swap, you see, there were about 50 groups and they have to swap. 3 jam kelas tu tak duduk. Asyik bercakap je. Swap. And finally when I asked them, okay, debriefing time, everybody sit down. Bila mereka duduk, ya Allah, sakit pinggang. Dia pernah dah berumur kan. So bila dia berdiri lama tu, semua duk complain sakit pinggang apa-apa. Saya cakap, okay, sorry ya, I didn't know that you all sampai tak duduk. Tu dia kata, manalah sempat nak duduk doktor. Nak buka nasi lemak pun tak sempat hari ni. So dia bila saya kata, okay, tell me apa teori A. Semua orang pakai angkat tangan. Saya nak jawab. Now, if you ask me why did I do that activity, these people have not been in learning context for a long period of time. So dia orang nak faham satu teori tu akan mengambil masa yang lama. So cara itu adalah cara yang termudah. Maksudnya kita tak tahu dia ni cenderung kepada auditory, cenderung kepada visual, cenderung kepada kinestetik. Jadi saya terpaksa buat aktiviti tu supaya yang mana-mana cenderung kepada apa pun dia akan ingat balik apa yang kawan dia kata kalau dia auditory. Dia akan ingat balik apa yang dia lihat kalau dia visual, dan apabila dia berubah, dia berjalan dari satu tempat ke satu tempat tu pun dia akan ingat masa dia dengar, dia pergi turun bawah dan dia dengar kawan dia present. Because when they were presenting the mind map, they were presenting the same thing. They were listening to it again and again and again and again in that 3 hours. And again, I told them, now that you've got your mind map, siapa yang rasa mind map dia dah memang perfect, semua orang tak angkat tangan. Siapa yang rasa macam dia tak nak hantar mind map dia lagi sebab dia nak buat perubahan. Dia nak improve their mind map before they submit. Everybody started raising their hands. I kata, okay, next week you have to submit. And once they have submitted, that's when I give them the marks. Nampak tak, setelah dia dapat formative feedback daripada kawan-kawan dia, daripada I, bila I tanya dekat dia, okay, tell me now, betul ke Piaget punya teori ada macam ni? Betul ke Vygotsky punya teori macam ni? Dia pun semua macam, betul. Bergaduh dekat dalam group tu, dalam kelas tu, gelak-gelak semua because nak bincang tentang ilmu. The cicak is also saying yes. So that's it lah. So what I'm trying to say here is you have to look at your students to see what activities will actually help them. And when I see them changing, I was just so happy sampai ke tahap pelajar-pelajar tu dah dikenali oleh semua pensyarah-pensyarah, depa ni akan copy masa exam, final exam. Depa akan tahu cara-cara untuk meniru. A, B, depa macam main softball, depa ada depa punya cara-cara dia tu. Ni cikgu-cikgu ni. So I told them saya dapat information bahawa cikgu-cikgu ni semua tahu cara-cara untuk nak meniru. Dalam mengejar ilmu dan ilmu tu nak diberkati dunia akhirat, kenalah ilmu itu cara halal. Maksudnya kalau you tak tahu, you jawab tak tahu. Kalau you tahu, you jawab you tahu. So sekarang ni masa peperiksaan akhir dah bermula belum? Jawapan dia belum. Maka pastikan you dalam golongan yang tahu, bukan golongan yang tak tahu. So I kata during the exam, I do not want your head to be like this. You nak buat stretching, tak boleh macam tu. Stretching you macam ni je ataupun macam ni saja. Tak boleh tengok kiri dan kanan. Okay, I know your friends are going to be doing that, but you have to only look up and down saja. Can we try now? So dalam kelas tu, I suruh mereka demonstrate. So bila mereka dah faham, during the exam, kebetulan saya jadi ketua pengawas. They were happy that I jadi ketua pengawas, dan my ketua yang tadi, yang guru besar yang tak mau buat kerja, yang buat yang sun tu, dia saya cakap, dia kata, doktor, kumpulan-kumpulan lain semua buat stretching tepi kiri kanan. Doktor, kami semua, saya dah bagi tahu kat dia orang dah, jangan malukan doktor. Sumpah doktor, ketua pengawas. Dekat situlah maksudnya, betul lah kata Dr. Lokman tu, when your students realize that through the bonding they want to respect you because you told them that I want to see teachers who really can really transform their school by showing the right role, to becoming the right role model. So that shows in depa punya perubahan, and I couldn't be bothered with their A and their Bs. I was just so happy for them, and that, in a nutshell, is how I'm motivated. Okay, that's it. Dr. Khairul punya line pun dah problem ya? Ke my line yang ada problem? Must be mine.
10 minutes dan satu soalan yang jelas bandwidth pun dah low. So I think it's a telltale that we need stop, berhenti dulu di sini. Dan sebelum kita berhenti dulu, sebagai mewakili pihak KS di UTM, kami bersyukur sangat dan mengucapkan banyak-banyak terima kasih lah. Thank you so much for being here and accepting our invitation. Dan insyaAllah kalau kesempatan mungkin Prof boleh and then sebelum kita untuk ajar khusus perguruan kepada lecturer universiti, pensyarah universiti.
That's why in UUM kita ada postgraduate diploma for higher education learning and teaching tu, sebab based on my observation,
macam tu khusus perguruan yang
sorry Dr. Khairul, I'm missing you. I don't know whether I'm missing myself or I'm missing you.
Okay, tak apa, saya take over. Prof.
Ada tanya
okay.
Dr. PA, saya take over. Dr. PA, okay. Prof. Fauzia, saya bacakan, ada komen ni dari dalam chat. Ada Encik Wan Muhammad Yaakob. So soalan dia actually kepada Kak Ais. ada plan pada KS lah. So saya akan jawabkan bagi pihak lah. So ada plan tak boleh di masa hadapan. Pensyarah buat kita ambil kursus kejuruan seperti praktikal misi lain. So ini mungkin soalan yang kita tanya pada Prof lah. Sama ada pensyarah di UUM ada mengambil, diwajibkan ambil kursus perguruan. Maksudnya bagi staff yang bukan education, bukan bachelor of education. So adakah diwajibkan ambil training bawah center Prof?
Di UUM ya. Maksudnya new new lecturers yang akan masuk, staff, dan mereka semua kena, kalau mereka tidak datang daripada institusi pengajian tinggi dan mempunyai pengalaman mengajar, semua kena ikuti program
Asas pengajaran. Apa?
Diploma postgraduate diploma pasca siswazah, pembelajaran pengajian pengajaran pendidikan tinggi.
Bermaksud pensyarah, for example, pensyarah mengajar engineering. So, UUM diwajibkan mengambil diploma tersebut.
Yes.
Maksud diploma tu 3 tahun ke?
No, 1 tahun. About dah campur sekali dengan dia punya professionalism. Dia ada satu kursus on professionalism keguruan. I can't remember the name. Yang tu lebih kurang between one year to one and a half, depending on how fast mereka boleh siapkan lah. Tapi bagi mereka yang tak mengikuti kursus, yang mereka yang datang daripada IPT yang pernah mengajar, mereka akan ambil yang kita orang panggil lead program. Yang tu ada different lah. Yang tu lead program bagi mereka yang dah ada pengalaman mengajar di IPT, tak kisahlah daripada college community ke apa-apa ke. So they will go through, dikecualikan daripada ambil PGDHLT tu, dan dia akan mengikuti kursus lead tu lah. So dalam kursus lead tu antara benda yang dia kena produce ialah MOOC, teaching portfolio, because the rest dia dah macam tahu kan. So it's like apa orang kata tu, macam nak refresher course sahaja. Tapi yang PGDHLT tu is like a program. So akhirnya dia pun akan dapat it's a qualification. They will get a qualification.
Okay, terima kasih Prof. Fauzia. Kalau untuk siapa yang tanya tadi, Encik Wan Muhammad Yaakob ya. So kalau saya boleh share, kalau sebenarnya kita ada tawarkan kursus asas pengajaran. Kursus asas pengajaran ni kita tawarkan pada staff baharu. Maksudnya yang baru mendaftarkan, dia wajib mengambil kursus tersebut. Kursus asas pengajaran KAP, dipanggil pada sebagai KAP lah. So KAP ni ada 3 siri. KAP siri 1, KAP siri 2, KAP siri 3. So most of pensyarah yang balik return sekarang ni, saya rasa dah lebih daripada 10 tahun ajar. So kita pernah ambil kursus tapi pada awal-awal semasa kita mendaftar sebagai pensyarah. So mungkin apa yang refresher course tadi adalah di mana KAIS sekarang ni menawarkan khusus online training dan khusus fizikal juga. Di mana kalau lihat memang benda tu adalah refresher course sebenarnya yang kami tawarkan ni. So itu inisiatif pensyarah lah sebenarnya untuk upgrade themselves, sebab zaman dulu 10 years ago lain kita punya training. So sekarang ni kita dah upgrade. So kita sebagai pensyarah perlu mengambil peluang lah bila saya sendiri, saya pun tak sebenarnya, dan kita menyediakan kursus konten tu sebagaimana apa yang kita yang saya if I put myself as a lecturer, so apa yang pensyarah perlu. So itu adalah tugas KAIS lah untuk untuk membuat framework untuk bagi training staff training lah. So saya harap menjawablah kepada soalan daripada Encik Wan tadi Okay. So saya rasa kalau tiada soalan, ada lagi ke soalan? Kalau nak boleh directly kalau tak ada, saya nak I would like, sorry, ada sebenarnya foreigner Prof. Saya lupa. So I would like to really congrats to Prof. Fauzia for sharing this thing on the pedagogy and pedagogy for interactive teaching. So it was a really, I would say, a really interesting sharing, and you actually shared to us on your experience during when you were the center of teaching and also when you step down, then you plan for the AA and so on. But that one is, I would say, it should be a role model for us, like for youngsters like us, because compared to you, you are much more like a senior. So if you can do it, not older, senior. If you can do it, then those who are at my age, we can actually do it too. Okay, so don't put ourselves, like, take it as a, like, so we say it as a macam cabaran lah, some motivation to be like Prof. Yeah. Okay. So I think Dr. K.A. ada mentioned, can we take a photo session? So those who can on your video, that's on your video, take to take a photo session, on my photo session. Okay. So about 1 minute, on kejap, Syam, boleh tolong bantu ambilkan gambar. Yang lain boleh tulis on the video so that we want to see your spaces lah. Okay. Since I think like now we only see the moderator kat ACE meeting saja, we want to see the flows from the other meeting. Right.
I finally get to see everybody.
Prof Faizal boleh nampak tadi Encik Ahmad Shah punya kenan tu. Ex alumni UUM. Okay.
Right.
Okay, Syam boleh?
Ready?
Boleh take over?
Okay.
Anyone else?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, senyum.